This chat group administrator really takes things seriously. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126, Encounter. Mingfei walked on the streets of Akihabara. God of otakus, bless me. Give me cute girls and unlimited game first release bonuses. Mingfei wandered around excitedly. Seeing the cute girls cosplaying as in characters, he happily went up to take photos with them. Mingfei is actually quite handsome. It's just that he's too unlucky, so he looks very ordinary. After cultivating immortals, Mingfei always has a kind of extraordinary temperament. Although he is still the same unlucky boy, he has become much more handsome. And this is Akihabara. Taking photos with cosplay is generally not rejected. Of course, there may be a situation where the security guards are there. Mingfei smiled as he looked at the photo with the beautiful cosplay on his phone. Then he saw the cute maid in front of him soliciting customers. The maid uniform with blue and white intertwined, and the big white legs and black stockings. Damn, I can't refuse. Looking at the enthusiastic maid, Mingfei entered the cafe. Welcome, master. Several cute maid girls said in unison. These maids are professionally trained before they start work. Their soft and cute voices are enough to melt the hearts of straight men. Master, master, master. Mingfei was addicted to the voices of master. Then he sat down and ordered an omelette rice full of love and magic in his poor Japanese. Omelette rice is also a special product of the maid cafe, and it will be infused with the magic of love by the cute little maids. Of course, it is super shameful in the eyes of some people, but making money is not shabby. Sitting in his seat, Mingfei watched the cute maids busying themselves. The maid uniforms on them were more like some kind of cosplay. Short skirts, lace edges, garter stockings, exquisite, black silk, round-toed shoes. The original purpose of the maid uniform was to facilitate the maids to clean. The cute maids in the cafe, on the other hand, their maid uniforms are more focused on beauty and beauty. Mingfei just looked at the maids with admiration, and he definitely didn't wear yellow glasses. As time passed, the exquisite omelette rice was ready. Mingfei looked at the omelette rice in front of him, and he knew there was one last step. This was the most important step. Infuse the magic of love into the omelette rice. The cute maid jumped up. Floating, pure, miraculous, heart-beating, omelette rice baby, make it delicious. Mingfei smiled. Although it was embarrassing, it was really fun. The cute maid girl did it very seriously, as if she had really infused magic into the omelette rice. I'm starting. Mingfei picked up the spoon and started to taste the omelette rice. It tasted very good. I plan to recommend Fenri to try it here later. This little guy will definitely like it. After eating the omelette rice, Mingfei paid and left. This is just the beginning. There are still many things waiting for him. For example, collector's editions, limited editions, and super exquisite simulation figures. Limited edition figures that are not available normally can be bought in Akihabara. This is a paradise for otakus. And there are all kinds of big guys selling their own drawings here. The small hide in the wild, the big hide in the city. Experts often hide among the common people. It is common for big guys to come to Akihabara to sell their books. If you can find a big guy's book, it would be a great fortune for otakus. Mingfei walked out of the largest figure shop in Akihabara. He was holding a collector's edition of Asuna's figure, a famous heroine in the book world. I finally got the figure I always wanted to buy. If it wasn't too expensive, I would have bought it long ago. This is a limited edition collector's edition. Mingfei looked at the beautifully packaged Asuna figure with trepidation. Her long flaxen hair reached her waist. She wore white armor and held a long rapier in her right hand. Her gentle face was filled with a serious smile. Her perfect figure looked better and better. This is Asuna from the first part of Sword Art Online. Oh my god, I'm so lucky today. Mingfei was so happy. And he also got a gift for buying a figure. A little yellow duck in the bathroom. This little yellow duck will make a dripping sound with just a light press. It is a favorite toy for children. Oh, this cute little yellow duck Fenri will definitely like it. Mingfei planned to give this little yellow duck to Fenri. Where to go next? After buying the figurines he liked, Lu Mingfei planned to move on to the next destination. Let's go see if there are any books drawn by the boss, but this thing must not be discovered by the boss. It just so happens that I have a storage bag. The storage bag is a low-level magic tool that can be used even by immortal cultivators in the key training period. It is a portable package that every cultivator in the immortal cultivation world must have. Put your treasured things in the storage bag and carry them with you, so you don't have to worry about being discovered. You must know that if the things hidden by teenagers during their youth are discovered, it will be social death. I remember that the comic exhibition should be in this direction. Lu Mingfei changed direction and walked forward. A red figure passed by him. Lu Mingfei's figure froze, and he subconsciously called out a name. Eri? Dark red hair, delicate and beautiful face, and a slender and agile body wearing a shrine maiden costume. Those lively eyes were filled with pure eyes. Lu Mingfei had never seen Eri, but he had read the novel Dragon Tribe. Words can also record a person's appearance. When he saw this girl, there was no doubt that the girl described in the book was this girl. Lu Mingfei was actually very heartbroken when he read Dragon Tribe. All his friends died, and his important people disappeared one after another. If other people were substitutes for the protagonist and experienced the protagonist's feelings, then Lu Mingfei was the protagonist. He knew that Dragon Tribe described his future. About 3 years later, he would cry in the deep well holding the girl's body. When the princess was in danger of death, his knight was not there. Even until her death, the princess was still calling for her knight. Usuji Eri tilted her head, her eyes full of confusion. She didn't know the man in front of her, but for some reason the man in front of her seemed to know her, and his eyes revealed deep sadness. She couldn't speak as she had the word spirit judgment. She could only write a few words on the writing board with her hands. Do we know each other? Yes, they didn't know each other at this time. Lu Mingfei hadn't even met Nono, the girl who brought him to the dragon world. He didn't expect that the first person he would meet would be Usuji Eri. Sorry, I recognized the wrong person. Lu Mingfei wanted to leave, just like he was described in the novel, constantly escaping. Chapter 127, Travel Together. Lu Mingfei is constantly avoiding. It was like this in the past, it will be like this in the future, and it is still like this now. A dead kid who never grows up will always be a loser. He only needs to hide behind others. In the future, he hides behind his senior brother. Now he hides behind the group leader and the Dragon King. But the girl doesn't seem to want the boy to leave. Or maybe she has taken a fancy to something of the boy. Usuji Eri grabbed Lu Mingfei who wanted to leave. Then she snatched the little yellow duck and the figurine from him. Lu Mingfei looked at his empty palms. He looked at the Asuna figurine and the little yellow duck in Usuji Eri's hand. Facing the girl's innocent eyes, Lu Mingfei gave up without hesitation. That's for you. Can I leave now? Usuji Eri grabbed Lu Mingfei again. Monsters are always attracted to each other. Usuji Eri was very curious, while Lu Mingfei looked at him like that. Curiosity is the beginning of a girl's interest in a boy. Usuji Eri is as pure as a blank sheet of paper. Any colorful color can leave its own mark on this blank sheet of paper. In fact, Usuji Eri had run away from home many times before. But the farthest she walked was squatting in front of the intersection for several hours. If no one is with her, this girl will not stay outside for long. She is a monster herself and is strictly guarded by the 8 snake families. Once she loses control, it is like the Dragon King running wild. The power of the word spirit of judgment, all creatures will die, wherever the eyes are. Let's go together. Lu Mingfei saw the girl's expectant eyes, and he made an invitation. Usuji Eri nodded. On the streets of Akihabara, Lu Mingfei and Usuji Eri strolled around like a couple on a date. But to outsiders, it was more like a servant and a princess. They played games together, looked at figurines together, and read comics together. Just like familiar friends. Usuji Eri was very happy. This is the friendship between friends. The monsters hugged each other for warmth. Time passed quickly. The sky gradually darkened. The raindrops were falling. Standing at the entrance of the game hall, Lu Mingfei said leisurely, "It seems that the maid's weather forecast is quite accurate." It was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Lu Mingfei planned to send Usuji Eri back home. Usuji Arai's home was inside Genji Heavy Industries. It was a landmark building in this area and was easy to find. Rainy days were not a good weather for playing. That's all for today, let's go home. Mingfei took out a black umbrella from his storage bag. Usuji Arai shook her head. She didn't want to go back. She wanted to continue playing. She still had a lot of games to play and a lot of figurines to buy. There's a long way to go. There will always be time. Mingfei comforted softly. Will we meet again? A line of words appeared on Usuji Arai's writing board. I will. Pin. Usuji Arai stretched out her little finger, and Mingfei looked at this innocent girl like a child and stretched out his little finger. The two little fingers hooked together. Mingfei spoke. Hook and hang for 100 years and don't change. Genji Heavy Industries. Yuan Zishan was dealing with various documents with a headache. A lot of things have happened in Japan in the past few days. Those foreign hybrids are frantically looking for the Dragon King and even caused a lot of trouble. The arrival of Castle Academy has made the situation in Japan more complicated, especially Ange. The head of the Inayama family, one of the 8 families of Snake Key, has gone to welcome Ange. Ange is a madman who kills dragons. The principal of Castle Academy will never be replaced. At this time, Aang walked in. Young master, the young lady ran away from home again. Yuan Zishan trembled slightly when holding the document, and then continued to read it carefully. How long has she been out? It's been more than 10 hours. After hearing that it has been 10 hours, Yuan Zishan put down the document in his hand. This is the longest record of Usuji Arai running away from home. Where is she? On the way back. Although Yuan Zishan looks very calm, he is actually a sister control. He loves his sister, Usuji Arai, very much. At the same time, he also knows how innocent his sister is. Tell me what happened. Sakura began to explain slowly and in detail. Kaguya, Japan's cloud computer, controls surveillance throughout Japan. Sakura had watched all the surveillance before coming, so she knew what Usuji Arai did that day. Miss Arai went to Akihabara when she ran away from home in the morning and then met a boy on the street. The lady snatched the boy's newly bought figurines and gifts and then dragged the boy to go shopping with her. The boy agreed, so they went shopping together, played games together, and read comics together. Genshishin listened quietly, but his eyes were very unhappy, as if a bad man had deceived his beloved sister. His sister was so innocent, how could she snatch other people's figurines and gifts? Sakura slowly told the story. Now they are on their way back. The boy seems to have discovered that the lady is from Genji Heavy Industries and is planning to send the lady back here. It's about 10 minutes away. Genshishin was silent. Sakura continued to speak. Do you need me to send someone to bring the young lady back? Genshishin waved his hand and stood up from the chair. No, Eri is having a great time. We should thank that boy, he is a guest. A guest is a guest, but it is not so easy to be a guest of the underworld. Genshishin was afraid that his lovely sister would bring back a yellow-haired person. This is Japan. The creature of yellow-haired people comes from this country. For some reason, Genshishin remembered a TV series about yellow-haired people. The cute and obedient sister was deceived by the yellow-haired person and finally got pregnant and was abandoned by the yellow-haired person. In the end, she fell into BBQ. Call the two perverts, Crow and Yasha, to welcome our guests. Genshishin took out his own knife, spider cut, from the knife rack. It seems that he wanted to give the yellow-haired person a warning. Spider cut is an all-chemical weapon. It has the same reputation as the dodgy Kachiya Satsuga. This knife killed the great monster Yamaguchi in the legend. In fact, it only killed a spider-shaped Deadpool. Heavy rain fell. Thunder roared. The half-bloods lurking in the darkness were waiting quietly. They knew that the Dragon King would not stay hidden for too long. The Dragon King must have his purpose in coming to this country. When the Dragon King appeared, it would be the time for the half-bloods to raise their butcher knives. A dragon-slaying hero would be born among them. For the half-bloods, this was a great honor. Chapter 128, Tea Ceremony. Crow followed behind Genji and said with a smile, I heard from Aang that the young lady seemed to have been deceived by a bad boy. Do we need to teach him a lesson? Yasha showed a perverted smile. How about stripping him naked and hanging him on the Tokyo Tower? Crow shook his head. I think it would be better to castrate him. I heard that this kind of thing was often done in ancient China. Sakura, who was wearing a hip skirt and a professional secretary outfit, was a little speechless. But he and these two perverts were colleagues. Genji Heavy Industries, the giant high-rise building, is the landmark of this city. It is also the base of the Snake 8 families. Usuji Arai lives here. Mingfei and Usuji Arai squeezed under the umbrella. Usuji Arai clung tightly to Mingfei, her slender and soft body tightly wrapped around Mingfei's arm like a snake. She was so close to a man, but she didn't show any signs of shyness at all. Mingfei was a little reluctant, but fortunately, he was finally sent home. "We are home," Mingfei said lightly. But Usuji Arai didn't want to go back at this time, because she couldn't get out after going back. But the moment they came here, Kaguya had sorted out all the information. The door of Genji Heavy Industries opened. Genji Chishin came out with his 3 subordinates. This is a mature man with a leader-like temperament. Standing among the crowd is like a king. The thin and handsome face seems a little tired because of the events of the past few days. But those eyes are still as terrifying as a scorpion. This is a temperament unique to hybrids. It is the suppression of lower creatures by higher creatures. Genji Chishin wanted to give Huang Mao a head start. Mingfei looked at the scorpion-like eyes calmly. The dead fish eyes of the bad boy were calm, like the surface of an ancient well. For some reason, Genji Chishin had a strange feeling in his heart. That feeling was like a lion staring at a rabbit angrily. No matter how fierce the rabbit is, it is still a rabbit, and the lion just looked at the fierce eyes of the rabbit quietly, without any fluctuations, because the rabbit is just a rabbit. Mingfei looked at Yuan Zishan staring at him, and thought in his heart with some confusion. What's wrong with my brother-in-law? He keeps staring at me. Is his eyesight not good? I remember that there seems to be no mention of my brother-in-law's poor eyesight in the world of the Dragon Clan. Because Jiangnan often likes to call Yuan Zishan his brother-in-law. This also led Mingfei astray, but Mingfei only dared to call him in his heart. If he really said it out loud, he might be beaten into a cement pile. He stared blankly for about half a minute. Mingfei still had those dead fish eyes without any fluctuation. Yuan Zishan couldn't see through the boy in front of him. He looked so miserable, too ordinary and too weak, but there was a lion hidden in his eyes. This lion was sleeping. Usuji Arai stood in front of Mingfei at this time, like an old hen protecting her chicks. She felt the fierce eyes of her brother. In the heart of this girl, Mingfei was a friend who played with her. They had the same hobbies. He would not look at her with fear, nor would he look at her with admiration and awe. They were very happy together. "Brother, I'm back." Usuji Arai held up her writing board. A gentle and bright smile instantly appeared on Yuan Zishan's face. It was as if the fierce look just now was an illusion. "It's good to be back. Did you have fun?" Mingfei looked at Yuan Zishan, who was changing his face like a Sichuan opera, and silently labeled him in his heart. "Sister control." Yuan Zishan doted on his sister. It was warm for the brother and sister to stand together. Mingfei stood alone in the rain. Since he had already sent the person home, he didn't plan to stay. While the comic exhibition has not ended yet, he hopes to find the Big Brother's book. But obviously Mingfei can't leave at this time. Yuan Zishan said to Yasha and Crow. "What are you standing there for? Why don't you invite the guests in?" Yasha instantly showed a perverted smile. I understand. So the two big men walked towards Mingfei from both sides. The corners of Mingfei's mouth twitched a little. "Come on, let's go in for some tea. Come in, I'll treat you well." Mingfei couldn't help but take 2 steps back, but Crow and Yaksha were faster. They each grabbed Mingfei's hands. Then they prepared to pull Mingfei into Genji Heavy Industries. As long as he got inside, they had the final say on how he wanted to pose. After using a little force, Crow and Yaksha were surprised to find that they didn't pull Mingfei. You know, they are mixed bloods, and their physiques are much stronger than ordinary people. Their strength easily exceeds that of some Olympic champions. Although they didn't use their full strength, such a light pull should be able to pull over even a calf. Crow and Yaksha looked at each other. They had an idea in their minds. This loser is not simple. So they secretly increased their strength. But they still said enthusiastic words. "Don't be shy, kid, we are not bad guys, we are just perverts." Yes, yes, we are just perverts. We won't do anything to you. Lu Mingfei was also a little headache at this time. Aang had blocked him behind and said softly, "Please come in, guest." He couldn't run away. Lu Mingfei was not afraid, but it was a pity that the boss's book would not be his this time. The next second Lu Mingfei gave up resistance and was pulled into Genji Heavy Industries by two enthusiastic men. As soon as he entered, the door clicked shut. Each floor of the building of Genji Heavy Industries has a different structure. Some are conference halls, some are ancient buildings, and some are laboratories. Lu Mingfei, who has seen the Dragon Clan, knows that there are a lot of Deadpools here, and they are A-level Deadpools. Very strong. This is all because of Tachibana Masamune, also known as Herzog. This guy's not a human being and uses the mixed-blooded people with the bloodline of the White King as experimental subjects. Yuan Zishan was also deceived miserably. Until his death, he never saw Herzog's true appearance. In the end, he fought with his brother, took the dragon blood stimulating potion, and died in a nightmare. But everything is about to change. In a few days, the group leader will start to make trouble. Although I don't know how the group leader wants to do it, based on the group leader's personality. This will definitely be a world-shattering thing. As for the old bastard, Herzog, I guess his end will not be too good. You must know that Jiangnan has been brewing for a long time at this time. The most delicious dishes should be saved for last. This floor of Genji Heavy Industries is a vast dojo. It is more convenient to practice swordsmanship here. Yasha and Crow sat on chairs in the corner and ate spicy strips. The eyes of the two of them were very perverted, as if they wanted to see a good show. Yuan Zishan and Lu Mingfei sat on the mat. There was freshly brewed tea on the small table in front of them. Aang poured good tea for the two. This is the tea ceremony. Japan is a country that pays great attention to small etiquette. And if the tea ceremony etiquette is not in place, it is a very shameful thing in this country. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Discussion. Is this a show of strength? I don't think I have offended my brother-in-law. Lu Mingfei thought to himself as he looked at the cut tea in front of him. He seemed to have forgotten that Usugieri hugged his arm intimately at the door, and this scene was seen by Yuan Zishan through Kaguya. If it was Jiangnan here, he might just cross his legs and taste the brewed tea in his own very special way. Regardless of whether it tastes good or not, Jiangnan will praise the other party generously, because he received the other party's intention. Look up to the strong, and imitate the strong. Lu Mingfei picked up the teacup. Then he crossed his legs, but because this was on the ground, he could only sit there with his legs crossed. Then he drank the boiling water. It's so hot. Lu Mingfei felt his tongue numb when he drank the boiling water. Yuan Zishan was confused. This is freshly boiled water. It must be hot. Lu Mingfei stuck out his tongue hard, trying to make his tongue sway in the wind. Oh, I haven't praised anyone yet. Let me think of some words to use. Lu Mingfei's poor brain quickly organized words of praise. What a wonderful cup of tea. The boiling water and the tea fragrance are fully integrated together, which makes people have endless aftertaste. In fact, Lu Mingfei didn't feel anything, because he burned his tongue. Yuan Zishan suddenly felt that the guy in front of him was a fool. His lion theory was absolutely wrong. Sir, there are only you and me here. Tea is just a respect for guests, not a cumbersome tea ceremony etiquette. Arigato. Lu Mingfei thanked in his poor Japanese. Then I haven't asked your surname yet. Thank you very much for sending my sister back. I'm Yuan Zishan. Lu Mingfei scratched his head embarrassedly. My surname is Lu. Then can I call you Mr. Lu? Yuan Zishan said politely. Lu Mingfei nodded. I think Mr. Lu has discovered that my sister is a very well-behaved girl. She is very beautiful and gentle. It's just that she rarely goes out because of her physical condition. So she is very curious about many novel things. She is a very good girl who doesn't know much about the world. Lu Mingfei looked at his sister Con and praised his sister. Why did he feel like a bad guy who wanted to kidnap someone else's sister? Suddenly, Yuan Zishan changed his tone. I don't know if Mr. Lu knows about kendo. Lu Mingfei said subconsciously. I know a little bit. Then why don't we have a competition? Lu Mingfei was stunned. The topic seemed to change a little too fast. My sister never brings a man home, nor does she protect a man in front of a man. This is the first time she has blocked me for a man. Lu Mingfei seemed to have found a problem. Is this brother-in-law jealous? His well-behaved sister brought a yellow-haired boy from outside. The yellow-haired boy was very arrogant and hid behind his beloved sister. Lu Mingfei remembered the two of them staring at each other at the door before. It seemed that he had been looking directly into his brother-in-law's eyes. Did his brother-in-law take this as a provocation? It was like Huang Mao said to his father-in-law. Old Deng, I parked my will-o'-the-wisp downstairs of your building. It won't be taken away by the city management. Brother-in-law won't want to beat me in the name of sparring. Although he is a hybrid who has surpassed the limit, he can't beat a cultivator like me. Besides, I still have the 7 deadly sins, which is a dragon-slaying weapon. If I stab my brother-in-law, he will definitely die. Lu Mingfei thought in his heart. Actually, I'm not very good at it. I only know a little bit of swordsmanship. Hide if you can. Hide if you can. Lu Mingfei was scared. It doesn't matter. I'll give you some guidance. Yuan Zishan stood up. He wanted to see if it was a lion or a tiger. Lu Mingfei looked at Yuan Zishan's determined eyes and knew that he couldn't hide. Okay then. Lu Mingfei agreed. He was scared and unlucky, but it didn't mean he was weak. His swordsmanship teacher, Atsuji Yuchi, is a martial artist who has reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship and reached the realm of God. His martial arts are superb. Lu Mingfei has received his true teachings, and in terms of swordsmanship, no one in the world can compare to him. Is this a wooden stick? Both of them in the martial arts field were holding wooden swords for practicing kendo. Lu Mingfei was really not used to this kind of thing, because he had been using sharp steel swords since he started practicing. Why, you haven't used it before? This kind of wooden sword is mostly used for sparring and duels, and for beginners to practice kendo. No. Yuan Zishan was silent for a moment, and then asked. Then what weapon do you want to use? Do you have a steel sword? Lu Mingfei spoke. Yuan Zishan was slightly stunned. He suddenly found that he couldn't understand the idiot in front of him. Even if they were just sparring, they would get hurt if they used steel swords. People will be afraid, people will be cowardly, and sharp steel swords are enough to scare away many people. In this modern society, even if a top sword master uses a steel knife to fight against an opponent who also uses a steel knife, even if the opponent is just a beginner, he will feel a lot of pressure. Because it hurts, you may kill the opponent with one blow, but the opponent's counterattack before death will also leave a deep scar on you. The human body refuses pain. Okay. Yuan Zishan put down the wooden sword in his hand and turned to take out 2 swords from the Yushin sword rack. Those are his swords, the boy's cut and the spider cut. These are 2 very powerful alchemical weapons, and they have the function of self-repair, which has a very huge lethality to dragons. If these 2 weapons are used to fight, then the pressure on both sides is to kill each other. These 2 weapons are my swords, the boy's cut and the spider cut. How about using these 2 swords to spar with each other? Yuan Zishan is the emperor of the Snake 8 families. If he is scared away by the opponent's request to spar with a steel knife, then he is too cowardly. Lu Mingfei took the spider cut without hesitation. Pulling out the spider cut, it flashed with light. Beautiful patterns were engraved on the back of the spider blade. Yuan Zishan stayed where he was quietly. The atmosphere was a little tense for a moment. It was as if the 2 warriors were betting their dignity and lives on a fair duel. Crow and Yaksha didn't seem to expect things to develop to this point, but they didn't care. Crow said with a smile, I bet 200,000 that the young master wins. Yaksha cursed inwardly. KO. I also bet 200,000 that the young master wins. Crow shrugged his shoulders. I said it first, so how about this? How about a draw also counts as my loss? KO. We have followed the young master for so long. Don't we know how strong the young master is? Unless the Dragon King comes, there is no way that a hybrid can defeat the young master, but I bet. Yaksha bet on a draw. He didn't think Lu Mingfei could defeat Yuan Zishan. Probably after realizing that the gap in strength between the 2 sides was a bit too big. The young master would stop when he reached the limit. In this way, even if it was a draw, he would win. Chapter 130, Beheading. The legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi only fought dozens of life and death battles in his life. Minato Namikaze is very strong, but he is far from the realm of breathing swordsmanship. Breathing can temporarily give a person's body the power comparable to that of a demon. With the blessing of breathing, a person can even swing the sword 2,000 times in an instant. This rapid slash is enough to turn the enemy into a piece of flesh the size of a fingernail in an instant. Looming for his swordsmanship realm is definitely not as good as Yoriichi's, but he is also considered a great swordsman in the Demon Slayer Corps. Now Looming Fei can breathe with full concentration. He has replaced his usual breathing with breathing, and after Orochimaru's guidance and scientific practice and innovation, they created a new type of breathing. In scientific experiments and research, they found that there is a wonderful connection between immortal arts, immortal cultivation, and breathing. Breathing is to breathe air into the lungs to activate your body. The same is true for immortal cultivation breathing, absorbing the natural power of heaven and earth for your own use. The immortal arts of the ninja world also absorb the natural energy of the outside world and reconcile it with their own chakra to maintain a balance. If the breathing method breathes in spiritual energy, does it mean that even sleeping is practicing? If the breathing method absorbs the energy of nature, does it mean that a person can be in the state of immortal forever? If you think of it, you must do it. A scientist must have a spirit of curiosity and exploration. When Orochimaru had this idea, he went crazy. Just like a madman. Looming Fei remembered that time was very cruel. It is not a simple process to combine the breathing method, the immortal breathing, and the immortal art. Even Orochimaru found Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Namikaze Minato to assist in the experiment. In the painful and long process, Looming Fei began to use the breathing method to absorb the natural power around him crazily. Jiraiya summoned the Toad Sage. Tsunade summoned the Slug Sage. The nanny is in place, the instructor is in place, and the crazy scientist is in place. Although the results of the experiment are not perfect, it does make the breathing method useful for cultivation and absorbing the surrounding natural energy to enter the sage mode. However, the operating power cannot reach the normalization of the sage mode. Although he couldn't enter the immortal mode forever, Looming Fei realized something else. Stripes. Looming Fei now seems not to be practicing, but he is actually practicing every day, even when he is sleeping, breathing in and out 24 hours a day. His cultivation speed is rising crazily. But if he enters the stripe mode in this state, his cultivation speed will be cut by 2/3. This is the reason for imperfection. Breathing method, immortal cultivation, and stripes cannot be truly integrated. You can only focus on one of them. Looming Fei usually focuses on cultivation. This is why Looming Fei can reach the foundation in just over a month. This guy has scientists and chat groups to help him cheat. What a cheat. In the dojo, the two stood facing each other. The long sword was unsheathed. Sword drawing is a killing skill. It is not suitable for sparring. Yuan Zishin didn't plan to use it. He was proficient in the purest ancient sword techniques in Japan, such as the Hozoin Kasudin, Yajaya Shinkage Ryu no Tadori, Tenin Rishin Ryu Tenai Stick, Kagami Akachi Ryu Basara Dance, Kagami Akachi Ryu Reverse Blade Flow, and Heart-Shaped Sword Flow 4 8 equals. So even if he didn't use the sword drawing technique, he still thought he would win. Looming Fei said it didn't matter. Yuan Zishin held the sword horizontally in front of his chest with both hands. This was an offensive fighting posture. Looming Fei took a step forward and also showed his own moves. But his moves were very strange. He raised the sword high and placed it on his right shoulder. This way of holding the sword reminded Yuan Zishin of an ancient Eastern punishment. Beheading. Some people who committed serious crimes would be punished in this way. At the time, when the yang energy was the heaviest at noon, the criminals would be dragged to the street, and when the executioner gave the order, the executioner would raise his machete high. Human bones are very hard. Even the sharpest knife may get stuck in the bone for this reason. So beheading also requires skills. The executioner will start to sharpen his arms from a young age, swinging the knife non-stop, swinging the knife non-stop. After 10 years of practice, when he can cut off a tree the size of a human head with one knife, he will be competent for this job. With one knife, the head of the person is separated. clean and neat. In ancient Eastern, people believed in death and believed that people would turn into ghosts after death. Even prisoners would become ghosts after death. In order not to be entangled by ghosts, the prisoner must die cleanly and neatly and even feel no pain. Every line has its own taboos. The same is true for the executioner's line, which must be beheaded with one knife. The posture that Lu Mingfei put on at this time was the posture of an executioner holding a beheading knife high. This high raised cutting method can instantly cross all objects that block the blade. Ensure that the head is separated, clean and neat. This is the swordsmanship against the demons in the world of Demon Slayer. But it is still useful in the human world because people will die without a head. Lu Mingfei's breathing state changed to a fighting state. At this moment, he stopped practicing. It was at this moment that the lion woke up. A terrifying aura emanated from Lu Mingfei. This was the aura honed countless times between life and death. In the world of Demon Slayer, Lu Mingfei kept fighting with demons, which were immortal creatures. He had experienced countless life and death battles. And life and death battles can make a person undergo earth-shaking changes. There is also the pressure of immortal cultivators. That is the unique aura of immortal cultivators, and it is a power from nature. At this moment, Lu Mingfei's aura was abnormally high. Even Aang, who was standing aside, was stunned. Crow and Yasha also stopped eating snacks. Their hearts were beating wildly. It was as if they had turned into babies and appeared in front of a lion on the African savannah, and the terrifying lion was staring at them, as if to enjoy this irresistible delicacy. Yuan Zishan subconsciously stimulated the dragon blood in his body. The pupils turned golden, the golden color of burning flames. Inheriting the royal blood, he broke the boundary of hybrids and was more dragon-like than human. In this state, he possessed power beyond S-class. Yuan Zishan also became serious. Because the opponent was very strong. If he was not serious, it would be disrespectful to the opponent. Aang also came back to her senses after feeling the amazing dragon power of her young master. So she raised her hand. Start. As Aang's arm fell, black lines appeared on Lu Mingfei's cheeks. Those were the unique flame patterns of the sun's breathing. The heart roared like thunder. Wind appeared in the empty dojo. But how could there be wind in an empty space? No, that was not wind. That was breathing. Lu Mingfei's breathing produced wind. Chapter 131. Incredible Duel. Breathing will produce wind, but it will only produce weak wind. How strong a breath is needed to produce the wind that covers the entire dojo? Yasha felt the breeze. The place where the breeze was concentrated was exactly where Lu Mingfei was standing. Crow, I seem to have made a mistake. This is a monster. Crow nodded. Concentrate on breathing, Stripes. In the Stripe state, the human heart rate will reach more than 200 times per minute. Ordinary people's hearts will explode instantly in this state. But after continuous polishing and training, the body will reach a state beyond the peak of human beings in this state. Lu Mingfei in the Stripe state, all his strength will be 10 times that of the normal state. It's like the Sage mode. There seemed to be a flash of flame around Lu Mingfei's mouth. That was a person's momentum. The sword momentum that belongs to the sun breathing. This invisible and intangible thing can only be felt by masters. Yuan Zishan seemed to see that Lu Mingfei was wrapped in red flames as dazzling as the sun as he breathed. The knife in his hand was also stained with flames. Bang 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 bang. Lu Mingfei's heart was beating like a drum on the battlefield. The dense beating sound was like the drum being played crazily by the drum master. Lu Mingfei thought of the Emperor engine in the One Punch Man world. How similar he was to the Emperor engine at this moment. But the Emperor engine was fake. And he was real. All the thoughts happened in just a moment. The battle began. Lu Mingfei exerted force with his feet, and his bones and muscles were compressed to the limit. The terrifying force made the wooden floor of the dojo creak, as if the floor would be cracked by him in the next second. This is the acceleration technique of thunder breathing. The acceleration technique of thunder breathing is the fastest of all breathing methods. The sun breathing method is a source of all breathing methods. It also encompasses the breathing method of all things. In an instant, Lu Mingfei rushed out. The two were only more than 10 meters apart. In the blink of an eye, Lu Mingfei came in front of Yuan Zishan. The sharp blade pointed directly at Yuan Zishan's neck. Beheading. Just like his posture, this move was a decapitation move. Sun breathing form 1 round dance. Yuan Zishan held up his sword to block. The dynamic vision given to him by the dragon blood allowed him to clearly capture the trajectory of the sword. The two powerful alchemical weapons collided with each other and flashed dazzling sparks. The crisp roar resounded in the empty dojo. Then Yuan Zishan flew backwards. Looming for his powerful strength made him feel like he was hit by a car. He couldn't even relieve the force. Flames flashed at the corners of Looming for his mouth, and his breathing method was fully concentrated. Yuan Zishan saw Looming for rushing towards him before he landed. Sun breathing form 7 Yang Hua thrust. It was like a meteor streaking through the darkness. At this moment, Yuan Zishan saw the light. The stabbing sword was shining with cold light. Yuan Zishan turned around in the air with difficulty to adjust his posture. The weapons collided again. Yuan Zishan changed the direction of his body and used this collision to put his feet on the ground. But Looming For's attack was too fast. The continuous slashes made it impossible for Yuan Zishan to counterattack. Once the initiative of the battle was taken away by others, the result could basically be announced. The sound of the blades colliding kept echoing. Every time Looming For swung the blade, it was accompanied by flames, just like a burning sun. Yuan Zishan suddenly doubted whether he was Amaterasu. The man in front of him must be Amaterasu. No, I can't go on like this. Yuan Zishan felt the heat in his body, and the dragon blood in his body gradually boiled with the battle. The rapid slashes gradually became clear in front of his eyes. The next second he drew his sword, and the sharp blade quietly passed through the gap of the attack like a thin piece of paper, and pierced Looming For his chest. Sun breathing fourth form Phantom Sun Rainbow. Looming For used high-speed twisting and spinning to complete a specialized dodge dance. The better the eyesight, the more clearly the user's afterimage can be captured. Yuan Zishan slightly deviated the tip of the knife, trying not to hurt the vital parts. However, when the blade pierced Looming For his body, he was surprised to find that the blade did not feel anything. It was as if it pierced the air. Illusion? When he reacted, a knife was already on his neck. It uses a specific flashing frequency to keep my figure in front of the enemy's retina, which will create a false shadow. It is a special evasion technique. Have you seen Hunter x Hunter? This move is similar to the limb bend of the Zoldyck family. Looming For said with a smile. Yuan Zishan looked at the knife on his neck, and at this moment he understood the gap between the two. In this kind of battle, he was able to stop the blade at the most critical moment, which was enough to prove the big gap between the two. It was like an adult beating a child. While defeating the child, he did not hurt the child. Yuan Zishan felt a little funny. I lost. I didn't expect Mr. Lu's swordsmanship to be so strong. Only a little bit. Looming For made a small gesture. If you only know a little bit, then what am I? Yuan Zishan shook his head helplessly. Even if the knife that could kill the dragon clan was on his neck, he still did not change his face. Looming For slowly let the spider cut off Yuan Zishan's neck. He seemed to find it interesting and said something. Aren't you afraid that I just used a little force to cut off your neck directly? You should know that I have cut off the necks of many powerful lives. That thing can't kill them no matter what, it can only cut off the neck. Is it Deadpool? That's right, if the neck is not cut off, that kind of monster will still have a very strong offensive. It is obvious that Yuan Zishan misunderstood something. Looming For was too lazy to explain. After inserting the spider cutter into the sheath, he put the knife back. This is a good knife, but it is not as good as his weapon 7 Deadly Sins. The two sat at the tea table again. Looming For yawned and was very sleepy. It is fun to open the stripes for a while, but it will be a crematorium after the fun. People who open the stripes will not live beyond 25 years old. But Looming For is a monster, and he is also a cultivator. He can bear the cost of opening the stripes without paying with his life. It's just that he will be more tired after the stripes state. It's like a candle that can burn for a long time, but suddenly it all burns out. You are so strong. Are you here to kill the Dragon King? Yuan Zishan took a sip of tea and asked softly. This is a strong man with great swordsmanship. The only person who can attract such a strong man to Japan is the Dragon King. Looming For was stunned. He seemed to be on the side of the Dragon King. It was obvious that Yuan Zishan had misunderstood again. He probably never dreamed that someone would be mixed up with the Dragon King. So he could only scratch his head awkwardly and nodded. Chapter 132. No such person. Mixed races are a group of lunatics and perverts. Don't constrain them with common sense, because they often disguise themselves. Just like the vice president of Castle College, he looks like a cowboy, drunk all day long, and reads adult magazines. Like a loser, he likes to talk nonsense and look at beautiful women. But in fact, he is a great dragon slayer, a great alchemist. Principal Angus is polite every day, like an elegant old gentleman, and occasionally goes to the beach to enjoy himself and look at beautiful ladies in bikinis. In fact, this is a madman who is full of hatred in his heart and only wants to kill the Dragon King. The real strong often don't care about other people's opinions. They live the way they want to live. So what if they are idiots? So what if they are losers? I like it, so it's what I look like. Yuan Zishan can't do this yet. He is a majestic underworld boss, the head of the Yuan family of the Snake 8 families, the boss of the Japanese branch's executive department, an extremely powerful law enforcer, the heir to the royal blood, the Japanese mixed race Amaterasu. His dream is to sell sunscreen oil at the French beach. When he sees a beautiful girl, he will approach her and say with a smile, "Beautiful girl, do you want sunscreen oil?" The picture is very funny. The majestic and powerful gangster boss gave up his power to sell sunscreen oil and hook up with bikini girls. Yuan Zishan is still unable to show his true self. Mingfei drank tea, holding the teacup with both hands, without any etiquette. Instead, he was like a child eating snacks carefully. Although tea is precious, it is also used to entertain guests. Yuan Zishan drank tea quietly. Mingfei put down the teacup with an embarrassed smile on his face. There is no way. He just burned his tongue. Every failure makes a wiser person. Mingfei now drinks tea carefully. I don't know what Mr. Lu thinks of the Dragon King. Well, use your eyes to see. Yuan Zishan paused and put down the teacup in his hand. Mr. Lu likes to joke a lot. The two chatted with each other. Mingfei's attitude was extremely perfunctory. Yasha and Crow on the other side. Yasha smiled meanly. Don't forget the 200,000. Damn, I can't imagine there is anyone in this world whose swordsmanship is better than the young master. Crow rubbed his head helplessly. Aang was swiping her mobile phone on the side. The mobile phone was connected to Kaguya. At this time, Kaguya sent a message. There were only 4 words. No such person. Unrecognizable interference spells can be used not only on people, but also on objects. The situation in Japan is very tense now. The emergence of a powerful unknown hybrid is not a good thing. The rain gradually stopped. Mingfei left. The existence of a powerful hybrid put a lot of pressure on Yuan Zishan. Mingfei just entered the crowd. Kaguya could no longer find him. The night gradually darkened. Mingfei walked on the flooded road. The people who followed him around disappeared when he entered the crowd. This spell of the boss is so powerful. I wonder if the boss can teach me. Mingfei looked back and stepped into the darkness. Tokyo Luxury Hotel. Everyone was very tired after a day of playing. When Mingfei came back, everyone was eating a lot. Fenrir's little mouth was filled with all kinds of delicacies. The small roast suckling pig was covered with jam. Fenrir performed what it means to eat a pig in 3 mouths. The feeling of having a full mouth is really comfortable. Mingfei joined the battlefield without any disgust. Today he wasted a lot of accumulated fat. Now he needs to replenish it. Dinner ended with a pleasant meal. It is indeed more fun to eat with friends, without paying attention to those cumbersome etiquette. After eating, the waiter came to clean up the table soon. Chiudmei prepared a small desserts for everyone. Snake 8 houses. In front of the bathroom, decorated by the ancient Roman royal family. Usugieri took off the shrine maiden costume she was wearing. Her white jade skin was exposed to the air. For this girl who can only stay at home, taking a bath is one of her favorite things. Just like a child likes to play with water. The bathtub is full of bath water. The temperature is just right. A cute little yellow duck swam slowly in the bath water. Usugieri jumped into the bathtub. Her long dark red hair was covered with glistening water droplets. Usugieri lay in the bathtub, surrounded by mist. Then she picked up the little yellow duck and smiled with love. With a gentle pinch, the little yellow duck made a cute cry. Usugieri liked it even more. This was the gift from Mingfei. At this time, a line of small words was engraved at the bottom of the little yellow duck. Eri and Lu. She asked Lu Mingfei his name. Lu Mingfei did not tell her his full name because Usuji Eri could not really recognize Lu Mingfei because of the disturbed cognition. Bubbles floated in the bath water. Usuji Eri played with the little yellow duck and kept swimming in the bubbles. If Conan is a child's body and a mature mind, then Usuji Eri is a mature body and a child's mind. At this moment, a sound came from outside the bathroom. Eri, I told you to remember to close the door when you take a bath. That was the voice of her brother, Genshishin. Then her brother closed the door of the bathroom. Usuji Eri pouted. Just like a willful sister. Got it. Usuji Eri wrote this line of words on the glass of the bathroom. Genshishin was also very troubled by this sister. Children of this age don't understand the relationship between the sexes. They are as simple as a toddler. Sometimes they can even play in the bath and water for more than an hour. The meal is ready. Remember to come out to eat. Okay. Usuji Eri wrote a word on the glass. Soon the mist buried the word. Genshishin looked at the figure that kept fluttering in the bathroom and fell into deep thought. This time when Usuji Eri ran away from home, she directly encountered a very terrifying hybrid. Fortunately, the hybrid was a good person and did not do anything to Usuji Eri and even sent her back. After learning about Lu Mingfei's strength, Genshishin knew that he could no longer let his willful sister go. This time it was good luck. What about the next time? If the other party discovered Usuji Eri's secret, would they be greedy and do something terrible? If Usuji Eri's bloodline went berserk and she really turned into a ghost, then Tokyo would have gone to heaven before the Dragon King appeared. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's better not to have such a bad thing happen at this critical moment. Sakura, you will protect Eri closely these days. Yes, young master. The beautiful ninja secretary said with great respect. As a girl, Sakura can protect Usuji Eri closely. Yasha and Crow can't do it. Even if they can, Yuan Zishin will not allow his sister to be protected closely by these two perverts. Usuji Eri stood up from the bathing pool a little unhappy. Her graceful figure was reflected on the glass. The mist made the figure look magical. Yuan Zishin sighed helplessly. Chapter 133. Do not worship useless gods. Usuji Eri was a little angry. Genshishin reminded her. Eri, remember to put on a towel when you come out of the bath. Usuji Eri reluctantly returned to the bath. The key to imprisonment. Usuji Eri plays a very important role in Herzog's plan. She is the filter of the White King. She is the most important key for Herzog to usurp the throne of the White King. The imprisoned bird in the cage, after seeing the free and vast world outside, does not want to return to the cage. We clearly agreed to play games together again. Time always passes inadvertently. Everyone seems to have forgotten to make trouble, and they are traveling happily in Japan. Meiji Shrine. Caesar wants his wedding with Nono to be held here. Lu Mingfei and Usuji Eri fell in love, met, and got to know each other here. Such an interesting place. Of course you have to come and see it. Cherry blossoms are floating everywhere. A luxury limited edition Maybach came to the gate of Meiji Shrine with a beautiful tailspin. Then the beautiful maid Maijud got out of the car. Then opened the door on the other side. Jiang Nan, wearing a big cloak, got out of the car. Then several people came out. Lu Mingfei looked at the gate of Meiji Shrine, and he thought of Usuji Eri. It has been several days, and I don't know what the little monster is doing now. Let's go. Let me see what the wedding scene that even Caesar wants to book is like. Lu Mingfei didn't know Nuono at this time, let alone like her, so he didn't have much emotional fluctuations when he heard Jiang Nan's words. Fenri looked at the cherry blossoms that fell on the ground and stretched out his hand, picked them up, and wanted to put them in his mouth. These days he has eaten a delicacy, cherry blossom cake. It's delicious. So this child is naive and thinks that cherry blossoms are also delicious. Okay, don't pick up things randomly. It's very dirty and easy to get sick. Jiang Nan squatted down slightly and took the cherry blossoms from Fenri's hand, as if taking care of a child. Human illnesses cannot appear on the Dragon King. Fenri will not get sick, but the cherry blossoms that fell on the ground have already stained it. Walking in front of the wide steps, Lu Mingfei looked at the huge story eye in front of the shrine. The so-called torii is actually just a door formed by two long wooden blocks connected horizontally and vertically. An open door. In Japanese legends, this door is a barrier that separates the two worlds of man and God. Boss, are we here to worship? Do you still believe in God? Mingfei asked doubtfully. He didn't think someone as strong as Xiao Yan would believe in such a thing as God. The so-called gods are all illusory things, and they are the sustenance of the soul. But we Chinese have an old rule, that we don't believe in useless gods, just like many people worship the god of wealth, the toad, and Guanari. They don't believe in God, they believe in money and loyalty. The belief in God just covers up their desires. Xiao Yan said with a smile. Then do we still believe in it? Mingfei scratched his head. Of course I believe it, but if it doesn't work, I will just blow him up and let the useless god die. Mingfei said that he was numb. There are no gods in the world of dragons. The so-called gods are actually dragons. In fact, they are here to kill gods. The White King is a god in Japanese mythology. They are here to kill the White King, so they can be called here to kill gods. Meiji-Jingu Shrine is located in Yoyogi, Shibuya District, Tokyo, Japan. It covers an area of about 70 hectares. It is adjacent to the Shinjuku Business District and occupies the largest green forest area in the center of Tokyo. 3 greenways connect the giant trees. It is worthy of being the place that Caesar wants to book for his wedding. The little devil Lumings also chose this place as the place where the Tokyo love story takes place. Boss, this time I brought the shrine worship manual. After passing through the torii, you officially enter the shrine. Mingfei took out a thin manual from his pocket. Xiao Yan suddenly became interested. Let me take a look. Let me take a look. So the two opened the booklet together. There is also a process for visiting a shrine. A complete set of worship includes 3 aspects. Worship, write Ima, draw fortune. Fenrir also came over at this time, but suddenly he felt the attraction from blood. The twins on the dragon throne have the closest blood relationship. They will attract each other, hug each other, and keep each other warm. They are close to each other. When they reach a certain distance, their blood will sense each other and determine each other's position. It's like the spirit of words. Blood is tied. A red line connects them so that they can find each other. Fenrir ran towards the place where Jamunganda's breath came from. Sister. Sister. The child was very happy. He was going to see his relatives again, and he had a lot to say to his sister. He wanted to tell his sister that he found a lot of delicious food and saw a lot of fun things. He wanted to share all these things with his sister. He wanted to introduce all his good friends to his sister. Brother Xiao Yan. Brother Mingfei. Brother Liao Tang. The child couldn't wait. Jamunganda was wearing a white long dress, and his delicate and lovely face was like a living ancient Greek statue. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind and she wore a cap on her head. She looked like a young girl full of energy. Now she was a human Xiaomi. She had been pretending for so long that the Dragon King sometimes even forgot his true identity. The girl looked a little reserved in front of the shrine. Her cute little face with some baby fat had a quirky look. God bless me, I hope I can find my brother. She had spent too long learning human behavior. She had reached the point of schizophrenia. The Dragon King would not pray to God, but Xiaomi would. At this time, no hybrid could see Xiaomi's true identity, because she looked too much like a human. The Dragon King would not believe in God. They were God. Xiaomi worshipped very seriously. She put her hands together and bowed slightly, then threw a 1 yuan coin into the money box. May my brother not get into trouble. Then Xiaomi shook the big bell in front of the shrine. The bell made a crisp sound, as if responding to the girl's prayer. Then she bowed again. It was obvious that Xiaomi had done her homework before coming here. She used the most formal way of worship. She put her hands together in front of her chest and clapped her hands twice. She prayed. An impeccable etiquette. But that was all. Just as Xiao Yan said, Chinese people never believe in gods and never believe in useless gods. They worship their own desires, and gods and beliefs are only to cover up their desires. What Xiaomi is doing now is what a normal girl would do if she lost her brother, even if there is no audience for the play she is performing. Chapter 134, confirmed by eye contact. Zayami had just finished worshipping. She felt something rushing towards her. She turned around and saw a child with dark skin who looked like a child who often ran wild in the fields in the countryside. Although his skin was a little dark, he looked very cute and had beautiful facial features. The child had a silly smile on his face. Zayami didn't know the boy in front of her, but the boy was indeed rushing towards her. Zayami subconsciously looked around. She made sure that there was no one else around. Sister, sister. Fenri happily ran to Jumunganda and pulled her clothes. The younger brother was like a follower of his sister. He always followed her aimlessly by pulling her clothes. But because of the interference spell, Jumunganda couldn't recognize Fenrir at all. Sister, I'm so happy. I ate a lot of delicious food. Fenrir shouted excitedly, but he didn't notice the strange look in Jumunganda's eyes. Zayami squatted down and subconsciously placed his right hand on Fenrir's little head. This skilled action made Zayami's body stiffen slightly. She didn't understand why she was so skilled. It was as if she had done it thousands of times. Fenrir enjoyed the feeling of being touched on the head by his sister. Sister. Little friend, where is your adult? Are you lost? Sister can help you. Zayami's tone was gentle and intimate. Fenrir was slightly stunned because he felt the distance between Zayami and him. They should be close. Sister, don't you recognize me? I'm Fenrir. Hearing the familiar name, Zayami's mind flashed a lot of information. But her cognition was disturbed. She couldn't connect the child in front of her with her brother. Well, a very nice name, the same as my brother. Zayami took Fenrir's little hand and prepared to send the child to the rescue station of the shrine. There was a loudspeaker there that could help lost children find their families. If they couldn't find them, they could call the police. Woo, but Fenrir cried, crying very sadly. Sister doesn't want me anymore. Woo woo. He cried sadly like an abandoned child. Like a puppy abandoned on the roadside. Zayami felt really heartbroken. She squatted down and wiped away Fenrir's tears. Even though their cognition was blocked, family affection made her want to comfort the child in front of her. Seeing the child crying so sadly, she felt sad for some reason. This inexplicable sadness made Jumunganda, the Dragon King, very uncomfortable. Don't cry, don't cry. Sister will take you to find your family. Fenrir cried even harder. No matter how much Zayami comforted Fenrir, he did not stop crying. For some reason, he thought of his brother who had an IQ of only 3 years old. When he was angry and said he didn't want him, he would cry so sadly. Mingfei and Jiangnan finished reading the shrine manual. The process is quite complicated. I really don't know why this country only makes such trouble in such small etiquette. Jiangnan was very impatient and looked around. Hey, where is Fenrir? Mingfei also looked around. Did she run out to play? That kid can't resist fun things. Jiangnan's mind spread, instantly covering the entire Meiji shrine. When he opened his eyes again, Jiangnan showed a brilliant smile. I didn't expect she's here too. Seeing Jiangnan showing such a smile, Mingfei knew something must have happened. What's wrong? Nothing. You take old Tang and Constantine to continue playing. I'll go find Fenrir. Jiangnan waved goodbye to everyone and walked towards Finger. Mingfei relaxed his shoulders helplessly. Let's go. Let's go play. Old Tang and Constantine nodded. They didn't care what Jiangnan wanted to do at all. Because even if they knew, they couldn't make any changes. Zayami gently wiped Fenrir's tears with her fingers. Okay, I'm your sister. Really? Sister, you recognize me? Of course it's impossible to recognize. It's just that Zayami said so. It's like a gentle girl comforting a crying child. Sister, I'm telling you, I'm really happy to come out this time. I ate a lot of delicious food, potato chips, spicy strips, and a lot of good movies. I'm a hero. Zayami nodded with a smile on her face. Listening quietly. Hey, did you bring my 200,000? Miss Jumunganda. Suddenly, an inappropriate voice interrupted. The voice was evil and a little excited. Jiangnan is here. He appeared as the evil villain. However, Zayami didn't know him at all. Such a familiar voice. Do we know each other? Oh, I forgot. There is a cognitive barrier between us. Jiangnan snapped his fingers lightly. Fenrir and his body emitted a faint light. The light dissipated. In an instant, Zayami felt a blood connection. When she and Fenry looked at each other, confirmed the eyes met the right person, the golden pupils were burning with flames. Brother? The previous scenes played in her mind. She didn't understand why her brother was clearly in front of her, but she couldn't recognize him. This feeling was like forcibly erasing this one cognition of mine. Hey, Miss Jumunganda, you recognize me now, right? Did you bring the money? Zayami had to protect Fenry behind him. Even if I give you money, you won't let us go so easily. Zayami's eyes were full of vigilance and hostility. Hehe. Jiangnan arrogantly covered his face with his hands. Smart children don't get candy, and smart girls will be hated by others. Blue-black scales were floating in Zayami's skin under her white skirt. I advise you not to do this. Japan is now full of most of the world's excellent hybrids. They come here to slaughter the Dragon King. What do you think will happen if your identity is exposed? The Dragon King is powerful, but in the war between dragons and humans, they are not the winners. Hybrids can also kill the Dragon King. What do you want? Zayami is very smart. He knows that not taking action at this moment means that there is room for reasoning. The opponent's strength is unfathomable. Fighting is not a good choice. As the representative of the kingship of the earth and the mountains, her strength is actually not up to the level of a normal Dragon King. Ha 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 ha. What do I want? Be my subordinate. Jumunganda, become my armored warrior together with your brother. Jiangnan stretched out his hand. There was a serious look on his face. This scene was like White Bird adopting a son. Chapter 135. Dark History. Zayami really didn't understand. What the hell is becoming a subordinate? What the hell is becoming an armored warrior? How come the plot is developing like a drag race, drifting and turning in a flash? What did you just say? Jiangnan still said seriously. Become my subordinate, become my armored warrior, let us protect the justice of the world, and put an end to the awakened evil. Zayami suddenly felt that her schizophrenia seemed much better compared to the boy in front of her. At least she could still tell the difference. Brother, don't be with these crazy people in the future, they will lead you astray. Zayami whispered to Fenry. Fenry hesitated for a while, and then said naively, but what Brother Jiangnan said is true. Zayami suddenly felt dizzy. Her good brother seemed to be led astray by others. Is it fun for you to deceive mentally retarded children? Zayami pouted and said angrily, as if her brother was really led astray by others. Jiangnan shook his head helplessly. No one believes the truth these days. To outsiders, the communication between the two was normal, just a little bit of chunabiao, but chunabiao is a common phenomenon in Japan. So what's your response? Jumunganda. Jiangnan spread his hands, looking like a chunabiao. Zayami rubbed her head helplessly. First of all, I don't believe it. Besides, aren't all the armor heroes men? There are no women. It's okay, I'll change it for you. Jiangnan said confidently. No way. Zayami made a face. Just like a willful little girl. Hehe, Xiao, you dare to resist my supervillain. Let me show you my supervillain's brainwashing methods. Jiangnan smiled very evilly. Just like the demon carders who like hypnosis in the Western Demon King City. They like to watch the righteous heroes fall into evil. Watching the pure white saint stained with black and unclean. Zayami couldn't help but take a step back, and her eyes were alert, as if she was looking at a pervert. What do you want to do? Don't force me. I'm afraid of myself when I get ruthless. Zayami's cheeks puffed up, pretending to be very fierce. How much like a human. The Dragon King would never do such a thing. Hehe, you can't escape from my palm, Jumunganda. Jiangnan said, and then took out a piece of paper from somewhere. Zayami thought it was a secret weapon, so she took a fighting stance. The blue-black scales under the clothes bulged. If Zayami hadn't considered that there were too many people around, she would have transformed long ago. Jiangnan began to recite slowly. Jumunganda is the king of the earth and the mountain, representing the power of wisdom. She possesses incomparable wisdom, but sometimes being too smart is not a good thing. In today's society, the Dragon King is no longer suitable for survival, so the smart girl began to learn human behavior and disguised herself as a human. She grew up with a very handsome boy. She observed the boy's behavior. The boy was her important human observation object. At first, she only observed him because he had the mark of Odin on him, but as time passed, the Dragon King found that in order to become a qualified human, he had to have love, so she began to seduce the boy. Xiaomi's face suddenly became ugly. This is a dark history. The dark history of a dragon king. Jiangnan continued. She pretended to be the boy's classmate. The boy liked to play basketball and was a famous basketball player in the school, so she became the cheerleader of the basketball team. Every time the boy went on the court, she would dance in high heels to cheer him up and shout his name affectionately. But the boy is a repressed and straight man. Even though the girl is very beautiful and has even expressed her feelings for him, the boy didn't notice it at all. There is no doubt that the Dragon King failed, but she was not discouraged. So she changed her identity and became the director of a dance troupe. She wrote a paper with the boy and invited the boy to her home. It was an old house with a huge sycamore tree in front of the house. The boy was organizing reference books on the table, while the girl was wearing a tights and practicing yoga in the back, doing somersaults, splits, and handstands. The girl tried every means to get the boy to look at her more, and it can even be said that she was already at the point of flirting. At this point, Jiangnan smiled mischievously, as if he had seen something interesting. But the boy didn't even turn his head, as if a beautiful girl was not as interesting as writing a paper. The girl danced for an afternoon, and she was as beautiful as a swan treading on water, but the beautiful swan still didn't attract the boy's attention. There is no doubt that the girl failed again. But the girl didn't give up. She searched the internet and found the 3 holy places for couples to date, so she took the boy there. The first time we went was to the aquarium. The boy taught her a lot of knowledge about turtles, making the girl feel like she was in school. The second time we went to the cinema. The cinema was showing a romantic movie. When people resonate with each other, they can't help but think of themselves, and then their feelings will heat up. However, what the girl didn't expect was that the boy explained all the plots while watching the movie, just like translating classical Chinese. This time the girl did an hour of reading comprehension. As for the third time, that was in the future, and I won't mention the process. The result was that the girl directly dismantled the entire roller coaster. Xiaomi was a little embarrassed at this time. She had never told anyone about this kind of thing. The Dragon King chased a human, but he didn't catch him. Jiangnan sighed and continued. In the process of pursuing the boy, the girl becomes more and more like a human, and sometimes she even forgets her identity as a Dragon King. In simple terms, she is schizophrenic, and she has turned herself into a psychotic in order to pursue a boy. Xiaomi. Fenri stared at his sister blankly. Hehe, Jamunganda, you don't want your dark history to be known by others, do you? Be obedient and don't resist. If Mingfei were here, he would definitely complain. This Japanese netizen, please calm down. Xiaomi looked very aggrieved. How could you do this? I really like to see Xia Long surrender. If you don't behave, I will print 6 billion copies of this dark history, from a 100-year-old man to a 0-year-old baby. By the way, I will print another 100,000 copies to ensure that every dragon can see your dark history first when it wakes up. Jiangnan is so evil. Very evil. Xiaomi kept retreating, but her right hand, which was tucked into her sleeve, was covered with scales and turned into a dragon claw. A dangerous and qualified hunter must know how to use his own advantages. She wanted to say something from the heart. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, My Turn Summoning. Xiaomi's look at this moment is too confusing. Just like a weak woman. But once he lets down his guard, this smart Dragon King will turn into a terrifying hunter. He will say some heartfelt words to you. Of course, he may also say some heartfelt words to you. In a corner, where no one cares at this moment, a strong German man is shivering in the corner like a dog. I seem to have heard some incredible secret just now. This person is Finger. As the most outstanding news paparazzi in Castle College, his intuition guides him to discover a huge news. A huge secret. A secret that is enough to kill him. It is obvious that the current atmosphere is very wrong. Ordinary people around may not be able to find it. But he is a hybrid. A-level hybrid. Hybrids are very sensitive to the call of bloodline. Finger felt the extreme danger from Xiaomi, combined with what Jiangnan said about Jumunganda. Fenrir is very smart, so he quickly deduced Xiaomi's true identity. Jumunganda, the king of the earth and mountains. He also learned about Jumunganda's past dark history. The news paparazzi learned about the dark history of the king of the earth and the mountain. You can imagine what would happen when Finger was discovered by the king of the earth and the mountain. He would probably be killed directly. Because only the dead can keep secrets the best. Woo, woo, woo. It's so hard for me. If I had known, I would not have come to the shrine to worship. Caesar also said that he would come to Meiji Shrine to hold his wedding in the future, but he left me here instead. Fenrir complained in his heart. There is no way. The current situation is too dangerous. If I don't divert my attention, I will go crazy if I'm under too much pressure. Forget it. Forget it. Let's run away. If I'm discovered when a fight breaks out, I will be dead. Fenrir quietly prepared to turn around and leave. He tried to shrink his body together to make his body lighter. On the other side, Jiangnan had already noticed Xiaomi's little action. Jumunganda, I have predicted your prediction. You are a qualified hunter, but I'm not a qualified prey. It's my turn. Jiangnan pointed at Xiaomi with his body sideways. Then he said resolutely, draw a card on my turn. Summon the news department paparazzi, Fingao. Jiangnan gently drew a card towards the void. A card appeared in his hand. The picture on the card was Finger. Jiangnan threw the card out. The card instantly grew larger, forming a space crack. Finger, who had already run for a distance, suddenly felt his feet empty. Then he landed in front of Jiangnan in a dog-chewing posture. Summon Kafinger, activate the special effect, the news paparazzi rumor making skill. When Fingao releases this skill, it will be adapted according to the facts and turn the originally boring things into attractive news. Finger hadn't reacted yet, and suddenly felt that his body was out of control. What's going on? Then Finger saw Jiangnan's very interesting smile. You know, in the world of mixed bloods, Jiangnan's identity is the Dragon King. My life is over. Finger wanted to close his eyes and wait for death, but his body moved automatically. Finger took out his mobile phone, and then his fingers quickly tapped on the keyboard of the mobile phone. The keyboard was so fast that smoke came out of it. Then Xiaomi's cell phone rang. Xiaomi hesitated for a moment and took out her cell phone, but her eyes were still fixed on Jiangnan. Several news items popped up on the phone. The headlines of the news were very shocking. Is it the distortion of human nature or the decline of morality? The 1000-year-old Dragon King actually fell in love with a 17-year-old male high school student. Is it an old cow eating tender grass or an interracial love? What happened when the 1000-year-old old woman repeatedly lured the male high school student home? The 1000-year-old old woman tried to use force after failing to seduce him. The news was also accompanied by mosaic photos, but the mosaics were not applied. Finkel looked at the news written on his phone. As expected of me. As expected of the boss of the Castle College news department. This ability to write news has reached the pinnacle. At this moment, Xiaomi's face was as dark as it could be. If she could, she would instantly turn into Jumunganda and tear apart the half-blood who offended her. What do you think, Jumunganda? Do you surrender or not? If you don't, these news will be on the headlines of the Castle Academy forum, and then you will be dead, socially dead. Jiangnan laughed so arrogantly. Finkel almost cried. Because of Xiaomi's eyes, he wanted to tear both of them into pieces. Hey. Xiaomi finally raised her hands. Surrender, surrender, whatever you want. The dragon-like hands were raised, and the sharp dragon claws flashed a dazzling cold light in the sun. Finkel's heart was pounding. Then the scales gradually faded and turned into the slender hands of a human girl. Finkel felt that the power to control his body disappeared, but he didn't dare to run. Brother, please spare my life. Finkel knelt down without any dignity. He knelt very neatly. Jiangnan was embarrassed. It's not even the new year yet. Why are you kneeling? Besides, I'm not a devil after all. I heard that you're a super paparazzi in the news department. I have a contract here for you to sign. Jiangnan patted Finkel's shoulder with a friendly smile and took out the same contract as Jiudmei. Does this thing have legal effect? It's okay. I said it has it. Jiangnan said seriously. Finkel swallowed his saliva and said with some fear. Can I not sign it? Of course. I'm not a black-hearted boss, but are you sure that the lady over there can let you go? Zami smiled, but her eyes were full of coldness. At this moment, it was as if the Dragon King had returned. Finkel took a breath of cold air instantly. Isn't this equivalent to saying that, if you don't sign, you will die? I'll sign it. I'll sign it. From today on, you are my boss. You are my boss. I want to abandon the dark and join the light. I can't stay in the shameless Castle Academy for a minute. I want to become a running dog of the Dragon Clan. Zami was shocked and speechless. Aren't all hybrids extremely proud? And they get mad easily. Even the Dragon Kings have been killed by these hybrids several times. Zami could feel that Finger's bloodline was also top among the hybrids. A hybrid of this level should have a lot of dignity. But this guy, he has become so shameless that he is invincible. As the saying goes, a tree without bark will surely die, and a person without shame is invincible. Finger signed the contract happily. Jiangnan nodded with satisfaction. The photographer is here. Chapter 137. The show begins. As a news paparazzi, Finkel's photography skills are undoubtedly top-notch. Jiangnan needs someone to take pictures of his heroic posture. Finkel still doesn't know how black-hearted his black-hearted boss is. Back to the hotel. The others have returned from visiting the Meiji Shrine. Old Tang and Constantine saw Zami and smiled and greeted her. Long time no see, sister. Norton. Zami directly called out Old Tang's real name. Norton, the king of bronze and fire. Finkel was slightly stunned after hearing this name. He seemed to have discovered some incredible secrets again. It seems that more than one Dragon King came to Tokyo this time. Now my name is Ron Old Tang. Just call me Old Tang. How come you are also conquered by the boss's charm? Old Tang said and looked at Jiangnan. Jiangnan lifted his handsome hair. You have felt my charm, and it is still possible to attract a little dragon girl. Zami said that she had never seen such a shameless person. Who is this? It seems to be a mixed blood. Old Tang stared at Finkel and said. Finkel swallowed his saliva. I'm a new employee, responsible for news and photography. Jiangnan patted Finkel's shoulder. This broad shoulder is very suitable for carrying a camera. This new employee will record my majestic and handsome heroic figure and then broadcast it live to the world so that people all over the world can appreciate my handsome appearance. Jiudmei looked at Finkel sadly. Their boss is a black-hearted boss, and he specifically chooses super dangerous jobs. The next thing to do should be to go to the White King's dragon nest to make trouble. I hope this new employee can withstand it. Mingfei finished the game and put down the controller. When he saw Finkel, he said excitedly, Findog, gosh, I didn't expect to see you here. Finkel was slightly stunned. He seemed to be very famous. Mingfei was still very enthusiastic about his future good roommate. Although this dog thing is a bit dog. But when there is something, it is indeed there. Jiangnan clapped his hands. Since Finkel is here, it means the audience has already taken their seats. Let's start our performance. Is it going to start so soon? Great. Where should we start? Or should we blow up the White King's lair first? Mingfei said happily. He didn't want the incident in Dragon Tribe 3 to happen again. Anyway, now we have a big thigh to hold on to. Just hold on to the thigh tightly. Jiangnan glanced at everyone. We have 4 Dragon Kings and 1 monster, and the opponent has only 1 White King. The advantage is mine. Did I hear that correctly? Finkel raised his hand. What's the question, new employee? Jiangnan asked. Finkel said cautiously, is the White King you are talking about the one I think is the White King? Everyone looked at each other and nodded. Isn't the White King dead? Finkel showed an expression that was uglier than crying. It seems that you don't know yet. The White King is not dead. He left behind his holy remains and holy blood, quietly waiting for resurrection. About 20 years ago, due to the manipulation of some murderers behind the scenes, the White King completed his blood sacrifice and has been revived, but he is still sleeping in the god's burial place, which is Takamagahara. Jiangnan explained the situation simply and clearly. Then we are going to. Finkel said tremblingly. Jiangnan showed an excited smile. That's right, we are going to awaken that terrifying monster. Awaken the strongest monster in Japanese mythology. He is a god in Japanese mythology, and then kill him. Finkel swallowed his saliva. Is it too late for me to quit now? What do you think? Knowing so many secrets, do you think you can still quit? Jiangnan had a threatening smile on his face. Finkel couldn't help but take 2 steps back. He was really scared. In his eyes, this was a dragon's nest. I will keep the secret. No, 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 only the dead are the best at keeping secrets. Jiangnan pressed Finkel's shoulders. Finkel had no choice. Isn't it just to blow up the White King and the dragon's nest? Let's do it. He was excited, happy, and had tears. Jiangnan nodded with satisfaction. The black-hearted boss liked this kind of employee. However, before we start, let's meet the audience first. As an F-level student in Castle College, you can just act as a matchmaker. Boss, I've become a traitor. If I go back, the principal will beat me to death. Finger felt a little aggrieved. Jiangnan, it's okay. If you are beaten to death, I will go to Castle College to release the Candle Dragon. I will avenge you. Finger. Norma arranged the itinerary for everyone in Castle College. Principal Angus rarely returned to the hotel. He went to visit his old friend. As a rich second generation, Caesar started shopping crazily. By the way, he visited the Meiji Shrine. Although it was a bit expensive to book the Meiji Shrine as a wedding venue, the Gattuso family could do it. Chuzahong just went out for a walk. He was working hard. After returning, he was writing a report. The Imperial sword Murasame was disguised as a baseball bag and hung on his body. They didn't notice that finger was missing. After all, he was just an F-class loser, and the 2 A-class hybrids never cared about him. It didn't matter whether he was there or not. It didn't affect their coming to slay the dragon. At this moment, everyone's mobile phone received a message from Norma. Our school student Finger has infiltrated the enemy and requested for support. If this was not a message from Norma, everyone would have thought it was a joke. Chuzahong stopped writing the report, and his golden eyes that never extinguished coldly stared at the message on the phone. Kidnapped. Caesar smiled at the message on the phone. Interesting. The heir of the Gattuso family has never been afraid of any difficulties. Whether it's a trap or an enemy, just defeat them all. Principal Angus also saw the text message in his hand. He was eating a street stall with his old friend Usugiyu, whom he hadn't seen for 60 years. Usugiyu, the last emperor of the 8 families of Snake Key. What's wrong? The former Shadow Emperor was like an old man in his twilight years. The domineering aura in his eyes that once rivaled the world had been deeply buried by old age. Angus just smiled. An old man who has lived for 100 years has become a wise man. How could he not know what this news means? Nothing. It's just that the Dragon King invited us. Usugiyu put down the bowl of oden. It's the Jiangnan you mentioned. Are you sure he is the Dragon King? Even if he is not the Dragon King, he is a monster. I don't care, as long as I can kill the Dragon King. Angus wiped his mouth elegantly with a napkin, ready to go to this hangman banquet. Chapter 138. Guests arrive. Blackstone residence. This is Luming's house. The huge and luxurious house was once the residence of a general. Later, after the Meiji Restoration, the Blackstone residence was sold to a businessman. After several changes of hands, it was bought by Luming's. In the information revealed by Finkel, everyone at Castle Academy was told the location of the dragon's nest. This is a throne on the hot sea. When the first ray of sunlight from the hot sea shines on the outer wall of the Blackstone residence, each black rock will reflect the dazzling sunlight. At this moment, this weathered building is like a warrior in armor. Kimura Hiroshi is the housekeeper here. Many people came to the house today. Suenxi told him that the owner's brother is here. When the owner is not here, his brother is the owner here. That is Mingfei. The luxurious supercar is speeding on the road. Nono laughed loudly. The long red hair fluttered in the wind. Caesar sat in the co-pilot, and he liked the crazy look of his girlfriend. Because of mystery, because it is hard to see through, because it is not understood. He likes Nono to do things that are always beyond his control. For Caesar, a woman is like a book. When he understands this book, he will give it up. But he has never understood Nono's book. Compared with the racing duo, Chusehan was much more honest. He took a taxi to the black market residence. After getting off the car, he paid politely and then carried his divine sword Murasame wrapped in a baseball bag to the Blackstone residence. The taxi driver waved and said goodbye to Chusehan. Chusehan responded politely. No one thought that this polite boy was a killer. When he went crazy, he could even kill his beloved girl. When Chusehan arrived in front of the Blackstone residence, Nono and Caesar also rushed over. They were excited, they were happy, but they were not afraid. Even if there was a dragon's nest in front of them, they would continue to move forward because they were proud hybrids. Then it was Angus, but Angus brought his old friend Usugiyu. Usugiyu wanted to see the final outcome of Angus. Because he thought Angus would die. As an old friend, he should send his old friend off. In this way, everyone came to this luxurious super throne. Arriving at the door, Maid, wearing a blue and white maid uniform, had been waiting for a long time. Everyone, my boss has been waiting for a long time. Maid bowed slightly, a standard Japanese etiquette. What a beautiful lady. As a noble, Caesar was extremely respectful to any woman, even if this woman was his enemy. Please come in. Maid didn't care, but opened the door of the Blackstone mansion, leading everyone into this magnificent ancient building. This kind of ancient building costs a huge amount of money every year for maintenance and repair. Wow, it's really nice. I wonder if the owner here has considered selling this mansion. The price is negotiable, Caesar said casually. If you like it, buy it. In Caesar's eyes, as long as money can solve it, it is not a problem. I advise you not to say this in front of the owner of this house, because for him, anyone who peeks into what he owns is a thief, whether it is a person or other things. Maid was telling a trivial matter in a very calm tone. However, this sentence did not make Caesar give up this idea. If Caesar gave up, he would not be the proud nobleman. Don't you think it's challenging to spy on the dragon's things? Okay, kids, stop talking. We are about to meet the owner here. We must know etiquette. If we are too rude, the owner here will look down on us. Ange was wearing a suit and walked very steadily. He had a small folding knife in his pocket. This is a very powerful alchemical weapon. The kind that can kill the Dragon King. Chusehan didn't speak because of his personality, but his tense body told everyone that he would draw his blade at any time and turn into a killing embryo. The waves hit the mountain wall and made a roaring sound. It seemed to celebrate the arrival of the guests. At this time, Kimura Hiroshi came over with an oil lamp. Ms. May, the servants in each room have all gathered in the backyard and will not hear any of your conversations. I will also leave. Just tell me after you finish talking about things. Thank you, Mr. Kimura. May nodded and said. The old man left with the oil lamp. This spacious villa had cleared all irrelevant personnel at this time, whether it was fighting or negotiating. After the irrelevant personnel left, they could let go. Usugiyu looked at Kimura Hiroshi's gradually receding figure and said to Ange, "You'd better be careful, otherwise I will really come to collect your body." Ange's eyes flashed with golden flames. The old gentleman turned into the most crazy dragon slayer at this moment. Even if I go to hell, I will drag a dragon king to hell. Walking across the Blackstone paved ground, cherry blossoms fell everywhere. The bathing pool made of rocks exuded hot steam. This luxurious house is always welcoming its owner. The water in the swimming pool is always warm. The servants here are really dedicated, and I'm more and more interested in this place. Caesar said. May knew that this western nobleman had such a character. He would not restrain his arrogant character before experiencing setbacks. Then May led everyone into the hall of the Blackstone residence. This was the general's mansion. A magnificent villa. Pushing open the door, warm light shone through the gap in the door onto everyone. Then everyone saw two figures, one big and one small. In the huge living room, the two figures were sitting on expensive sandalwood chairs playing games. Two characters on the high definition screen kept flashing and attacking. Angus knew one of the two. The one sitting on the left playing the game was Finger, who sent them the message. At this time, Finger was concentrating on playing the game. He had forgotten everything and didn't notice the strange eyes behind him at all. At this time, the character he was operating was already low on health. On the other side sat Constantine. After looming for his training, Constantine's gaming skills had improved by leaps and bounds. It was no problem to abuse Finger. The anger of the game character controlled by Constantine was almost full. When this big move was released, Finger would die, even if he blocked it. When the defeat was certain, Finger was unwilling to accept it. The reason why he accompanied Constantine to play games was that, even if he only won in the game, he would have something to brag about. He could proudly say to his classmates that he had defeated the Dragon King. Look, there's a flying saucer. Finger finally used a despicable method. Constantine turned his head in confusion. Finger took the opportunity to attack frantically. When victory was approaching, Constantine suddenly launched a big move. He killed Finger in 1 second. Looking at the huge KO in front of him, Finger was silent, and the others behind him were also silent. They thought Finger was a waste, but they didn't expect him to be so wasteful. Even if he used despicable means, he couldn't beat a little boy. The explosive update is over here, 100,000 words in 10 days. There is really not a drop left. After this update, it will be restored to 6,000 words per day. Thank you all book friends and readers for your subscription and support. Thank you all book friends and readers for your monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. In the future, I will work hard to write, save more manuscripts, and strive to continue to explode next time. I beg for some monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Thank you all here. Chapter 139. Goodbye brother. When Finger turned around, he met several people's contemptuous eyes. Can you believe me if I can explain? Nono felt that Finger was really shameful. Why would the Dragon Slaying Castle Academy have such a useless senior brother? Constantine saw a stranger coming and immediately ran to find his brother. This child is very shy. A guest is here. The child was a little noisy just now, so Finger was asked to play with him for a while. Footsteps came from the stairs. Jiangnan walked down from above. Everyone in Castle Academy saw the familiar person, Jiangnan. They observed Jiangnan. Then they unanimously came to a conclusion. Too ordinary. The boy in sportswear was like an ordinary high school student. Jiangnan didn't care about their strange eyes at all. What are you standing there for? You are my audience. The best front seats are reserved for you. Oh, look who I see. Another important audience has come. Jiangnan looked at Usujiyu. Usujiyu looked very thin. His hair was already grey, and this shadow emperor could not resist the erosion of time. At this moment, he was just like an old man selling snacks on the street. It was hard to tell that he was once an emperor above all others. Haha, don't worry about me. I'm just here to collect the bodies of my old friends. If you guys start fighting, I'll just turn around and run away. Usujiyu said casually. Most of Anger's friends have already been buried. Even those who haven't been buried are probably dying of old age. Don't be so nervous. I'm not here to kill people. Besides, I don't want to do such boring things as killing people. Jiangnan pulled out a chair and sat in the upper seat. Let's do it. Standing is so tiring. Jiangnan invited everyone to sit down. Without hesitation, Anger sat down first. As the oldest principal and the most powerful dragon slayer, he was not afraid of pressure from others. Then others sat down one after another. The wide and luxurious Japanese-style long table was full of people. May, serve the tea. Jiangnan clapped his hands gently. In the kitchen, Meijiud came out pushing a small cart with a teapot and a teacup on it. That's right, it was a teacup. This is the teacup that Chinese elders liked to use the most during the Red Era of the last century. Some elders can even use this kind of teacup to patina. Jiud Mei placed the teacup in front of everyone elegantly, then put tea leaves on it, and picked up the teapot to pour water into it. I don't know the tea ceremony etiquette of Japan, so it's more appropriate to use the way I entertain guests in my hometown. It's not so complicated. Just drink when you feel thirsty, and it's like a tea house. In a foreign country, you can feel the strong Chinese atmosphere. Chusehan picked up the teacup in front of him. It was brewed with Zinayang Maojian, which is also hometown tea. It's very down to earth. It's true that Japan's cumbersome etiquette is a headache, so it's better to explain it directly. Caesar said. He didn't understand Japanese etiquette, but as a Western nobleman, he couldn't be rude. Jiangnan picked up his teacup. After taking a sip, it tasted like home. Don't stand there. Drink it. Don't worry, you are the audience. If the audience dies before the good show starts, it will not be a good show. Angus took a sip of hot tea without fear. The tea is good, but you didn't invite us here for tea, did you? Angus' golden eyes stared at Jiangnan coldly. Jiangnan said, as if he didn't see it. The show is about to start, so we have to notify the audience. If the audience is not in place, then the empty seats will be a waste. Wait a moment, because there are more guests tonight. Jiangnan said with a smile. Oh, who else? Angus asked calmly. The Snake 8 families, the fierce ghosts. Jiangnan said the names of 2 forces. These are the names of the local snakes in Japan. The secret party in Japan are in a cooperative relationship. The Snake 8 families enjoy autonomy. Norma can't bypass Kaguya to act. So Kaguya also knew about Castle Academy's actions tonight. The Dragon King is in their territory anyway, so they must get involved. And the Snake 8 families knew, and the fierce ghosts naturally knew too. So both groups of people came. The fierce ghosts are composed of mixed bloods whose bloodline can break through the boundaries. Their bloodline is extremely unstable, and they may go crazy and turn into ghosts at any time. They all come from the 8 snakes. They are the shadows of the 8 snakes. The reason for instability is naturally because of the White King bloodline. The ghosts and the fierce ghosts are eager to evolve into dragons. In this way, they will no longer be ghosts that are hated by others. So when they knew that the Dragon King came to Japan, they wanted to find the Dragon King. They worship the Dragon King, admire the Dragon King, and want to become the Dragon King. A black sports car stopped at the door of the Blackstone residence. Yuan Zishan got out of the car. Spider Key and Tangziki straddled his waist. Yasha and Crow followed behind him. Oh my, it's really a luxurious mansion. I guess you can't get out once you go in, Crow said with a smile. They already knew what was in this huge villa, but they were still not afraid. The direction pointed by Yuan Zishan's sword, even if it meant death, they would rush up without hesitation. Crow Yasha, this time is different from the past. If you want to withdraw from this operation, I won't say anything. Yuan Zishan opened the dragon bone form without hesitation. In this state, his dragon blood has exceeded the limit of hybrids. The White King represents the spiritual element. The royal blood prevents Yuan Zishan's reason from being polluted by dragon blood. Crow and Yaksha did not quit. They will always follow their young master. With the determination to die, the 3 of them walked towards the gate of the Kuroishi residence. At this time, another sports car stopped at the door of the Kuroishi residence. Yuan Zinv got out of the car with a gentle smile on his lips. As the most powerful gigolo in Japan, his beauty and gentleness have made many girls fall in love with him. Yuan Zinv has many identities. The top of the gigolo, Fengjian Liuli, a hybrid who inherited the royal blood, Yuan Zishan's younger brother, the Dragon King of the Fierce Ghosts. Behind Yuan Zinv followed an extremely beautiful girl. The girl slowly closed the car door and took care of everything for Yuan Zinv. He is the Ryoma of the Fierce Ghosts, Sakurai Kojia. Sakurai Kojia is a ghost from the Snake 8 clan. She always follows behind Yuan Zinv silently, supporting the man she likes. Yuan Zishan and Yuan Zinu were not supposed to meet at this moment, but the arrival of the Dragon King made them meet in advance. When Yuan Zishan saw Yuan Zinu, his expression was extremely shocked. Brother. Yuan Zishan called out the name he hadn't called for many years. He remembered that on that rainy day, he killed his brother with his own hands and buried him in a deep well. That was his nightmare. He never dared to go back and look for his brother's remains in the deep well. Yuan Zinu smiled softly as she did before. Long time no see, brother. Aren't you dead? I killed you with my own hands. Yuan Zishan's expression at this moment rarely became very ferocious. The brother who turned into a ghost and was killed by his own hands appeared in front of him again. In addition to being shocked, he also had the intention to kill. He would not forget what his brother had done. Chapter 140. Guests take their seats. Brothers should get along harmoniously when they meet. But now the situation is tense. The battle is imminent. Yasha and Crow are also ready for the battle. Sakurai Kojio put his hand into his sleeve and held the short knife, while the other hand held a syringe, which contained a potion that can stimulate dragon blood. Just as the atmosphere was getting tense, the door of the Blackstone residence opened. Lu Mingfei appeared at the door. Then the 7 deadly sins appeared. The dragon roared, and the god of death was unsheathed. The terrifying all-chemical field instantly enveloped the whole scene. If you are guests, then I will welcome you. If you are evil, then go and die. This is the all-chemical field of the 7 deadly sins, an absolute field that can suppress and kill the Dragon King. Although the royal blood is powerful, but that is only among the hybrids. In front of the real dragon clan, the owner of the royal blood is just a special hybrid. Yuan Zishan and Yuan Zinu felt that their bodies were extremely heavy, as if they were pressed down by the 5-finger mountain. Even the word spirit could not be used. This is a field of death. The master of the domain has absolute power over their life and death. Life and death are just a thought away. It is not pleasant to have your life controlled by others. You want to resist but you can't. You can only wait to die. The 2 heirs of the royal blood are like this, not to mention ordinary hybrids. Sakurai Kojia, Yasha, Crow, they feel that their bodies have fallen into death, and the sickle of the god of death is already on their necks. As long as they swing it gently, they will die. After Lu Mingfei completely refined the 7 deadly sins, he mastered all the power of the 7 deadly sins. This is a miracle that appeared when cultivation, bloodline, and alchemy were combined. When everyone calmed down, the alchemy domain disappeared. Everyone looked up, but what caught their eyes was a white shirt with the Hatsune Miku logo. The owner of the shirt was a boy. The boy always had dead fish eyes and a languid smile, and under the clothes were shorts and clogs. The messy hair was a little wet, and he should have just taken a shower. If there was no terrifying alchemy domain before, probably the first impression of the boy would be a loser, a dead otaku, and a waste. Lu-jun, why are you here? Yuan Zishan recognized Lu Mingfei, but that was Lu Mingfei after his cognition was disturbed. However, Lu Mingfei was already very excited at this time. He roared wildly in his heart. It feels so good to show off. It feels so damn good. I finally understand why the group leader likes to show off so much. I was so damn cool just now. If the full score is 100, I can at least get 82 points, and the other 18 points will appear in the form of 666. Lu Mingfei actually also longed to show off. He hoped to have the power of a savior like the protagonist in the Matrix. When the disaster came, he only needed to turn around and leave a mysterious back to everyone. This mysterious feeling of showing off is really irresistible. But this kind of showing off did not last long. It was even less than 3 seconds. Let me think about what I said. Lu Mingfei grabbed his head with a question mark on his face. At this moment, the mysterious feeling created by Lu Mingfei disappeared. It was as if the mysterious savior of the Matrix suddenly became a mentally retarded person. The speed of this turn made everyone a little unresponsive. Forget it, please come in. Everyone is waiting inside anyway. The door opened. Lu Mingfei extended his hand to invite everyone in. Yuan Zishan and Yuan Zinu looked at each other. There was no need to continue this battle. However, no matter how you look at this open door, it looks like the mouth of a dragon. When they step inside, the dragon will close its mouth and swallow them into its belly. Afraid? Terrified? Of course. But they still walked forward and entered the door. They are proud hybrids, proud dragon slayers. The Dragon King is right in front of them. How could they retreat? Lu Mingfei led everyone to the hall. Familiar faces were sitting in the hall. Ange looked at Yuan Zishan, who came into the hall and greeted him. Everyone who went out of Castle College was his student. Principal Ange loved his students very much. These students were all excellent dragon slayers. Yuan Zishan bowed slightly and said, "It's been a long time since I last saw you. The principal is still so strong." Principal Ange said, "My old friend is still alive. How can I die? But I heard that you have become the executive director of the Japanese branch of Castle Academy, and you are very famous. This is what I should do." Yuan Zishan nodded in response. "I didn't expect it to be my senior brother." Caesar waved his hand. Yuan Zinu stood aside and scanned the crowd. They were all mixed bloods with very dangerous bloodlines. They were all strong. Then Yuan Zinu looked at Jiangnan, who was sitting at the top. Jiangnan was like an old man in the park at this time, holding a teacup and tasting hot tea. This feeling made Yuan Zinu very different. It was like the dragon slaying warrior finally arrived at the dragon's nest after going through untold hardships and found that there were two 80-year-old grandfathers playing chess in the dragon's nest. At this time, Anger's eyes moved to Yuanzinu and Sakurai Koja. Yuanzinu was wearing a beautiful Japanese yukata, and her delicate and beautiful face was painted with light makeup. For a moment, it was hard to tell whether this beautiful person was a man or a woman. Yuanzishin represented the Snake 8 families. Then the two of them represent the fierce ghosts, and their status is not low. Otherwise, they would not have broken in here, breaking into the territory of the Dragon King. These two must be the fierce ghosts. Anji's tone was so flat that it was hard to tell what he wanted to say. Yuanzishin turned his head and looked at his brother. It seemed that he had already guessed his brother's identity. Yuanzinu bowed slightly, with a smile on her face that made people see no flaws. I'm not talented, just a mere dragon king of the fierce ghosts, not as good as the principal of Castle School, the legendary dragon slayer Ange. Ange's name in the world of mixed bloods is like Einstein and Newton in the world of science. Everyone knows it. Jiangnan put down the teacup. Don't stand and take a seat. Although they are unexpected guests, they are also guests. May serves tea to entertain guests. Don't let the guests say that we are not polite enough. Tea ceremony? As the best cowherd, Yuanzinu's understanding of tea ceremony has reached the pinnacle. Every time he performs tea ceremony on stage, he can attract a lot of beautiful women. However, when he saw the big teapot in front of him, he fell silent. Jiangnan noticed Yuanzinu's stiff expression, so he said in a mean way, "Don't mind it. I prefer the Chinese way of drinking tea, which is domineering, simple, and enough. I don't like the cumbersome and complicated etiquette. You have to drink tea properly. What's the point of making it like an acrobatic performance?" Yuanzinu could only sigh. As a good guest, he should not feel disappointed because the host greeted him with a non-Japanese tea ceremony. Try it. This is the best Zinayang Maojian. Jiangnan picked up his teapot. Chapter 141, Sinking the Island Nation. The Dragon King shouldn't use poisoning. Yuanzishin was full of doubts. But seeing Inge drinking tea without fear, Yuanzishin also drank it. The taste was unexpectedly good. However, Yuanzin and Yuanzishin didn't notice that Usuji had been staring at them. Blood relationship is a wonderful thing. Even if it is the first time they meet, the unspeakable sense of deja vu will continue to appear. Usuji felt that the two children of similar age in front of him were very cute. How great it would be if they were his own children. But he knew that he had no offspring because he wanted the fate of the emperor to end in his generation. After drinking tea, Jiangnan knocked on the table and said mysteriously, "Don't you want to know what I'm going to do?" Everyone was silent for a while. Jiangnan said, "Why don't you respond? How can I pretend if you don't respond?" Ange coughed lightly. "Please speak." Jiangnan nodded with satisfaction. "This starts from 10,000 years ago. Isn't it too long?" Ange asked. Jiangnan thought about it. The history of the White King is indeed very long. "Well, then I'll make a brief summary. I want to sink the Japanese island." Yuanzishin stood up instantly. His eyes burned with a coldness. Yuanzinu smiled. But the smile was very cold. Sure enough, the Dragon King was as cruel as the legend said. He would destroy the world at any time. This warm and hospitable appearance was completely a disguise. At this time, Mingfei leaned against the door not far away, and he watched quietly. He knew that the group leader did it on purpose. Although bombing the White King's lair might indeed cause the Japanese island to sink. But this is not a bad thing. Everyone's body was tense. Caesar held his knife Dictudo. Chuzahong gently unzipped the baseball bag. "Don't be so excited. Anyway, the Japanese island will sink sooner or later, so it's better to sink it now. As the saying goes, everyone has to die since ancient times, and you have to die sooner or later." Jiangnan was not afraid at all. If you play, you have to have fun. Mingfei yawned and looked at Yuanzishin. Yuanzishin also looked at Mingfei. He knew that, when he pulled out his knife, a more terrifying knife would be placed on his neck. Finally, Ange spoke. "Everyone sit down. As the oldest dragon slayer, everyone present can be said to be his juniors. Except for the fierce ghosts. Crow and Yaksha belong to the executive department of the Japanese branch of Castle School. So they are also Ange's juniors. Yuan Zishan loosened his hand holding the handle of the knife and sat back on the chair. Jiang Nan's eyes were slightly disappointed. After all, hot-blooded young people are fun. I think you don't mean what you said literally. Ange said calmly. What if I said it literally? Jiang Nan thought it was very funny and said so. This is a provocation. Ange held the folding knife in his pocket. The moment he moved, others would also move. Okay, don't be so nervous. It's just a joke. This joke is not funny. Crow breathed a sigh of relief. Although he was not afraid of death, he was a little unwilling to die like this. So now you have the patience to listen to me slowly? Jiang Nan picked up his teacup and took a sip of tea. This time everyone was silent. The story probably starts from 10,000 years ago. The story is actually not difficult to summarize. 10,000 years ago, the awakening of the White King caused great damage. It directly led to a magnitude 10 earthquake on the Japanese island, tsunamis, storms, volcanic eruptions, and tornadoes. In the earthquake, the place where the gods were buried, that is, Takamagahara, slid into the deep sea abyss at 8,500 meters. Now the White King has revived, but he is still sleeping. The moment he wakes up, the accident 10,000 years ago will happen again. Jiang Nan is going to blow up the White King's nest. The awakening of the White King will cause a huge earthquake, and a magnitude 10 earthquake is likely to cause Japan to sink. So it is equivalent to Jiang Nan blowing up Japan. What Jiang Nan said is undoubtedly very explosive. Yuan Zishan was not feeling well. On the contrary, Yuan Zinu was excited. Because in the legend of the fierce ghosts, the gods are sleeping in the burial place of the gods. When the gods return, the road to the underworld will open, and these hybrids who have turned into ghosts will have the opportunity to evolve into pure-blooded dragons. From what you said, you want to kill the White King. Jiang Nan nodded. That's about it. Angus was silent. Because if the White King is really resurrected, then it will be a big deal. The power of the White King is not something that the 4 elemental kings can match. Don't be sad, smile. You are the audience, and you are not involved. Just watch it. Watch this grand performance. Jiang Nan stood up. The location of the Blackstone residence is very good. It is close to the seaside and you can see the vast coast. Standing on the 2nd floor, you can see the direction of the abyss. This is the best audience seat. They will witness the revival of the White King, the birth of disaster, and the terrifying corpse guards. In the future, Suenxi will spend $200 million here to hijack the US fleet and kill the corpse guards. Everyone came to the 2nd floor. Sofas, popcorn, and various drinks have been prepared on the 2nd floor. Jiang Nan picked a suitable sofa and sat on it. In front of him was the endless sea. The waves were crashing against the rocks. The lights at night shone on the sea surface and sparkled. The lonely throne stood here. Sit down. The good show is about to begin. If you miss it, you will really miss it. Jiang Nan motioned everyone to take a seat. The good show is about to begin. Everyone looked at each other. Lu Mingfei was blocking the crowd, holding the 7 deadly sins in his hand. He seemed to be ready to use the big move of the game boss if he disagreed. In fact, Lu Mingfei didn't want to do it. After all, this is his future senior brother and sister, and it would be quite embarrassing if he did it. Anyway, his identity has not been exposed now. By then, he will probably become Anger's most proud student like in the original book. As long as Angus doesn't fall, he can do whatever he wants in Castle College. Nono looked at this loser with some curiosity. If it weren't for the dragon slaying artifact 7 deadly sins that Lu Mingfei was holding, which exuded an extremely terrifying aura, she would probably have really thought that Lu Mingfei was a loser, holding popcorn in his hand. Everyone looked at the calm sea. There is peace before the storm. Lu Mingfei put away the 7 deadly sins after everyone took their seats. However, at this time, the dishonest Nuo came over to talk to him. Hey, little brother, you don't look very energetic. Lu Mingfei scratched his head embarrassedly. I played games all night last night. He didn't hate Nuo, but he couldn't say he liked him either. He was not the loser who was saved by Nuo in the darkness in the original book. He could understand why he would fall hopelessly in love with this girl in the future. Because it was this girl who pulled him out of the dark, terrible and miserable life. It was this girl who gave the little letter I dignity. Chapter 142. Start of the show. Caesar did not stop the girl he liked from talking to other boys, because he proudly believed that no one in the world loved Nuono more than him. He was confident that no one could snatch this little witch from him. He was the arrogant Western noble Caesar. He could give anyone the opportunity to challenge him, and then he would defeat them one by one. Nuono lay on the chair, her exquisite curves pressed against the back of the chair, her long wine red hair fell and fluttered, the sea breeze blew, and the girl was as smart as an elf in the wind. "Are you the Dragon King?" Nuono asked this question. This question was undoubtedly inappropriate. The hybrids were dragon slayers and enemies of the Dragon King. The kind that would never stop until death. Mingfei didn't care. He just shook his head and said, "No." Nuono found this answer very interesting. After all, in the history of hybrids, the Dragon King was very aloof. The only one who could be friends with the Dragon King was the Dragon King. "Then are you a hybrid?" Mingfei thought for a while, nodded and shook his head. "Then are you a yes or a no? What does it mean?" Nuono tilted her head and wanted to explore Mingfei's secret. Mingfei said seriously, "I'm a cultivator." Nuono was silent. She had prepared herself mentally. Even if Mingfei said he was the Black King, she would not be surprised. But to say that there is a cultivator, is there such a thing in this world? This loser must have a second year syndrome. Is this cultivator the kind of thing in Chinese immortal novels? The kind of immortal cultivator who can fly into the sky, move mountains and fill the sea, and has a long lifespan. The little witch's brain circuit was not very normal, so she quickly caught up with Mingfei's rhythm. Mingfei nodded. That's right. The others were stunned. They had more or less come into contact with novels. But do immortal cultivators really exist? Isn't it just a fantasy? Immortal cultivation novels evolved from some Taoist scriptures. In the world of the Dragon Clan, the Taoist scriptures were probably written by a hybrid combined with his own words. After continuous innovation and transformation, the Tao system appeared. Mingfei smiled shyly, and then added, "I've been working part-time as an armor hero recently." Why did the word armor hero sound so familiar to Nono? So she took out her phone and asked Norma to check what armor hero is. She was silent when she saw the recently popular Chinese special effects drama. She suddenly felt that it was a bit difficult to follow the thinking of this loser in front of her. "Why don't you say you are Ultraman?" Nono was very speechless. "If I were to be considered a monster, I should be considered a monster." Mingfei thought of Usuji Iriaya. They were all small monsters who would be killed by the righteous Ultraman. "I suddenly feel that there is a reason why you can be friends with the Dragon King. I guess no normal person can accept your brain circuit." Mingfei felt that he was quite normal and that he was telling the truth. But what I said was the truth. Mingfei spread his hands to show that no one would believe the truth these days. Nono covered his face helplessly. "Yes, yes, yes." Jiangnan on the side spoke at this time. "What he said is indeed true, but there is another reason. I believe that this reason will be more interesting to you, Miss Chen Motten." Nuo was stunned for a moment. Chen Motten is her real name, but she cares more about the reason Jiangnan said. It seems to be the nature of girls to explore the mystery. A mysterious man can attract girls more. Don't look at Mingfei's miserable face. In fact, he is a monster. If you push him to the limit, he will go crazy. When he goes crazy, he is very fierce. Whether it is the Dragon King or the Black King, as long as he goes crazy, he can kill them. He is indeed not the Dragon King, because he is a more terrifying monster than the Dragon King. Jiangnan's last sentence was very low. It seemed to be telling a very real thing. Angus thought of Mingfei, who was about to enter school. This child was also his secret weapon. The secret weapon to kill the Dragon King. But no matter how you look at it, Angus could not connect the Mingfei in front of him with the Mingfei who was still in school. "Boss, I feel embarrassed when you say that to me. Actually, I'm not that great." Mingfei seemed to be a little shy. Jiangnan praised him so much, just to give him face to show off. And in front of Nuono. In front of the girl he will love to death in the future. Which boy doesn't want to show off in front of his beloved girl and attract the attention of his beloved girl? Unfortunately, Nuono already has a boyfriend. And he is a very good boyfriend. So good that Mingfei admits that Caesar is his big brother. They went through life and death, and neither of them gave up. In the fourth part of Dragon Clan, Mingfei inherited everything Caesar gave him, including the president of the student union and the ballet maid dance troupe. Okay, the show is about to start, and your role is the finale. After all, the protagonist will appear at the end. Mingfei nodded. Life is a play that will never be repeated. Take every shot seriously, because if you miss it, you really miss it. The big blue screen suddenly appeared in front of everyone. The screen showed a clear picture, like a holographic projection. But there was no holographic projection projector. The blue screen seemed to appear out of thin air, forming a picture in the air. This technology that had never been seen before surprised Yuan Zishan. The technology in the human world could not achieve this level of holographic projection. This is a holographic projection. Why is there no projector? Angus asked. The big screen in front of them appeared directly. There was no projection equipment. This impossible thing has violated the modern scientific principles. Even the super artificial computer Norma could not understand this technology. It's just a small method. It's normal that you can't understand it, just like the ancient people couldn't understand the dragon's words. Mingfei was too lazy to explain. One kind of words? If it is a word, it can be done. Yuan Zishan thought in his heart. There are only more than 100 kinds of dragon's words recorded. These more than 100 kinds of words are only those that the hybrids have come into contact with or seen. Words that have not been discovered and contacted must exist. At this time, the sky was howling. Everyone looked up and saw a 50-meter dragon passing through the sky. It was hiding the sky and the sun. Fenrir, the king of the earth and the mountains. Even if he didn't emit dragon power, everyone felt their hearts being squeezed crazily. They might explode at any time. Dragon King. Angus was the first to recognize this creature. In Fenrir's dragon state, his body was covered with blue-black dragon armor. The sharp and tough dragon armor was not something that ordinary weapons could damage. Perhaps only the explosion of an intercontinental missile could break through these scales. And the folding knife in Angus' hand was probably not as big as a scale on Fenrir's body. No matter how sharp the knife was, it would be useless if it couldn't break through the defense. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, The Land of the Abyss. The Dragon King flew away. This was the first time these hybrids had seen the Dragon King so closely. The pressure brought by the Dragon King was beyond everyone's imagination. It was hard to imagine what kind of dragon-slaying hero could swing his butcher knife at such a behemoth. What kind of dragon-slaying weapon could hurt such a terrifying monster? Angus thought of more than 100 years ago. The Dragon King attacked the Lionheart Society. Only he survived. Too many dragon-slaying heroes died that time. The giant dragon gradually went away, and the figure of the giant dragon also appeared on the big screen. There were two people sitting on the head of the giant dragon. Old Tang and Constantine. The King of Bronze and Fire. Jiangnan opened his mouth and briefly introduced. These two are the King of Bronze and Fire. Two Dragon Kings? Yuan Zishan asked. This is not a secret. There are twins on the dragon throne. I believe that Principal Angus should have known this information. He nodded and said nothing more. When everyone saw the child hiding behind his brother, they were all stunned. Because that was the child who had just played games with Fingel. If the King of Earth and Mountain, the King of Bronze and Fire said so, you have at least 4 Dragon Kings here. Angus spoke lightly, as if he had already confirmed this. One Dragon King can kill the entire Lionheart Society. Then it should be no problem for 4 Dragon Kings to slaughter a country. As expected of the principal of Castle School, you are so smart. You found out so quickly. Yes, I have 4 Dragon Kings here. When Yuan Zishan heard that there were 4 Dragon Kings, he couldn't sit still. What a joke. If there were 4 monsters flying over his head, then Japan will face an unprecedented disaster. Don't worry, the Dragon Kings have their own lives. They won't destroy a country for nothing. Of course, if you provoke them, that's another matter. Xiao Yan opened the fat otaku happy water, and it turned out that the fat otaku happy water was comfortable to drink. In the eyes of the Dragon Kings, humans have never been enemies. Their real enemy is the Black King, who is about to be resurrected. When the Black King returns, all these traitors will be liquidated, their power and strength will be taken away by the Black King, and their bodies will be devoured by the Black King. They will become the Black King's strength and a stepping stone for the Black King's ever-increasing strength when he returns. Yuan Zishan looked at the Dragon King on the screen. The direction they rushed to was a Sumeru seat. Below the Sumeru seat was the Jian. Kaguya, notify the other heads of the 8 families of the Snake Key family to enter a state of war readiness. The plan for the Sumeru seat is about to begin. Kaguya and Yuan Zishan's phone nodded. Then all kinds of important news appeared in the phones of the heads of the 8 families of the Snake Key family. The Sumeru seat is a building on the sea. It is a cooperative project between the Japanese branch of the Ganliu Research Institute and Maruyama Construction. The Sumeru seat is also called the unsinkable Sumeru seat. The word Sumeru seat refers to a pagoda or a Buddha statue in Buddhism. When the gods wake up and the Yellow Spring Road opens, the Sumeru seat will become a super defense line blocking the Yellow Spring Road and the gods. At this time, the 8 families of the Snake Key family moved. The plan that had been rehearsed countless times began. Although it was a lot earlier, fate is often beyond people's imagination. Only by preparing in advance can we grasp a glimmer of hope when fate comes. On the huge floating platform, members of each family were ready and came to their posts. The depth of the Jian exceeded 8 kilometers. It was a restricted area for humans, but not for dragons. The elite of the Fengmo family formed scouts. They monitored everything around them and were responsible for the situation in the surrounding seas. If the weather deteriorated, they would inform everyone as soon as possible. When they saw the huge black dragon flying towards them, the wind was howling, and for a moment even the head of the Fengmo family was stunned. Then his crazy roar came from the intercom. There are dragons. There are dragons. It's the Dragon King. Even because of the information from Yuan Zishan, they were ready. But when the 50-meter dragon arrived, their bloodline told them what real fear is. The dragon's might is like a prison. Even if there is no dragon's might, the call from the bloodline also made these hybrids lower their heads involuntarily. The giant dragon flew over and finally stopped above the Sumeru throne. The black giant dragon was so majestic and terrifying. Its flapping wings caused a violent gust of wind. It was like an elf swaying and dancing in the wind. Such great power made the hybrids stare involuntarily. Is this the Dragon King? What a beautiful and majestic creature. Fenrir ignored the hybrids standing on the Sumeru throne. Old Tang and Constantine above his head stood up. Constantine, don't be afraid, leave everything to me. Old Tang rubbed Constantine's little head. Yes, brother. The 2 Dragon Kings nodded, with mutual trust in their eyes. 1,000 years of companionship is too long, so long that it broke the rules of the Dragon Clan. The 2 Dragon Kings took out the Flame Dragon armor summoning device at the same time. Put the summoning device on their hands. Flame Dragon armor combine. The roaring sound was heard clearly even by the hybrids on the Sumeru throne. The violent flames burned everything. A huge flame tornado appeared on Fenrir's forehead, but Fenrir did not feel any temperature. These flames can automatically identify friendly forces. When the flames dissipated, 2 sets of flame dragon armor with different images appeared. They were domineering and majestic, and the red armor exuded a dazzling metallic luster, which was not something that the leather suits in special dramas could perform. Synchronization rate 80%. Flame Dragon armor upgrade. The 2 Flame Dragon warriors with different images took out a combination card at the same time. The card was inserted into the Kyankan belt. A giant flame dragon emerged. The giant dragon tightly wrapped around the 2 sets of armor. The Flame Dragon armor upgraded to the Fiery Sun Flame Dragon. Gold and red intertwined. Beautiful patterns kept dancing on the armor. The burning flames gradually dissipated. The true king was born. This is the complete king of bronze and fire. It is a combination of power and strength. The pressure emitted by the Fiery Sun Flame Dragon is scorching. It is like a fire from outer space, descending on the world. Fenrir, we are leaving first. The voice of the Fiery Sun Flame Dragon was a little heavy. It was as if 2 voices were superimposed on each other. Fenrir opened his mouth and spoke. Okay, brother. The flaming dragon wings floated slightly. The flaming dragon left Fenrir's head. After leaving Fenrir's head, the flaming dragon no longer suppressed its power. A huge flaming sun appeared. At this moment, the flaming dragon turned into the sun, illuminating the darkness. That's the Sunday. The head of the Fengma family saw the sun that illuminated the entire sea. It was the embodiment of light. Word spirit scorching sun serial number 28 bloodline origin. Bronze and Fire King danger level, low discoverer and namer, Louis XIV introduction. The releaser stimulates the fire element in the domain, emitting strong visible light, and the domain as a whole presents the effect of a small sun. Chapter 144, Zilling. The word spirit blazing sun is a low-level word spirit, but the release of the hybrid and the release of the Dragon King are worlds apart. The Bronze and Fire King has absolute command over the flames. The word spirit blazing sun is the word spirit he controls. The blazing sun flame dragon stood in the center of the sun. It seemed to be the master of the flames. The light illuminated the entire sea area, like the rising sun. The city dozens of kilometers away could also see this round of sun. Even the people nearby thought it was already dawn. When they looked at the time, they found that it was night. The terrifying power of the Dragon King made the elites of the 8 Snake Key clan on the Zumi throne unable to think of attacking. Then the sun slowly set and entered the sea. The light gradually disappeared. The blazing sun flame dragon did not last long, but they activated the backup hidden energy. The so-called backup hidden energy is not the super self-exposure in LUO's adventure. The hidden energy of the flame dragon armor is actually the energy that the Dragon King slowly stores up. The Dragon King in the state of an ordinary person consumes too little energy. The excess energy is accumulated in the flame dragon armor summon like fat. When this energy is used, the synchronization rate can reach 80% instantly, and it can be combined and upgraded. After all, 5 seconds of real manliness is too short. Jiangnan doesn't like this shortcoming in what he makes. The sun gradually fell into the deep sea, and he dived very quickly. After only 1 minute, he had dived to 1 kilometer. That is 1/8 of the way. The diving speed of the Liang Flame Dragon exceeded all nuclear submarines in the world, and the 1,000-meter sea water has covered the sun's brilliance. The sea level has once again returned to tranquility. However, the elites of the 8 Snake Key families knew that this was a sign before the storm. Fenrir flapped his wings in the sky and slowly fell. The elites of the 8 Snake Key families raised their weapons. However, the hot weapons in their hands were useless to the Dragon King. The extremely hard dragon scales could not hurt him at all, unless they were intercontinental missiles. When it was about to touch the floating plate of the Zumi seat, Fenrir's dragon body began to shrink rapidly. This abnormality was shockingly terrifying. The dragon is transforming into a human. In just a moment, Fenrir turned into a humanoid creature. If there were Armor Hero fans standing here, they would definitely shout loudly. You are the Earth Tiger Warrior who was given away for recharging your phone bill. That's right, at this time Fenrir has transformed into the Earth Tiger Warrior. The dark golden armor is so handsome in the dark. The feeling of heavy metal is as reassuring as rock. The king of the earth and mountains, the Earth Tiger Warrior of armor. Fenrir is different from other dragon kings. He has always been in the state of a giant dragon. It's just that Jiangnan sealed his giant dragon body. When the Earth Tiger Armor Summoner opens the seal, he can transform into a giant dragon at will. Armor removed. Fenrir removed the armor. When an innocent child with some dark skin appeared on the deck, Fuma Katero was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Are you the Dragon King? Fenrir thought for a while, then nodded. He was not afraid of the dozens of guns pointing at him around him. Slaying a dragon, can you do it? Such a magnificent monster, can they really kill it? What do you want to do? Fuma Katero asked. Fenrir tilted his head, then thought for a moment and said, are there any snacks? The gods of the god burial place are about to revive. It is obviously irrational to offend a dragon king at this time. So a strange picture appeared on the Zumi throne. Dozens of strong men surrounded a child with snacks. These adults bent down to hand the snacks to the child, and they were even a little flattering. They are elites, but only relatively speaking. For the Dragon King, they are still too weak. A round of sun entered the seabed, illuminating everything around, and dispelling all the darkness. In the Blackstone mansion, everyone watched the fiery sun dragon sinking on the screen. As time passed, the sea area reached by the flame dragon armor became deeper and deeper. That was a place that humans had never set foot on. The terrifying atmospheric pressure was enough to crush any hybrid. Under the shining light, everyone saw the blue world under the sea. That was the origin of life. The sea is the origin of all life. Just like a mother, it gave birth to everything. And the dragon race was born in this environment. Countless schools of fish gathered together and roamed around. This deep sea creature fears light, because the deep sea where they live is full of darkness. Suenxi and Jiudmei also stood behind and watched the screen quietly. What a bunch of lunatics. Suenxi said softly. Let the Bronze and Fire King sneak into the White King Dragon's nest and release the Candle Dragon. Is this something that people can think of? Time passed again. The diving sun came to the deep sea 6,000 meters. As soon as they arrived here, everyone saw an amazing scene. The giant squid and whale fought here. When they saw the sun, they gave up each other without hesitation and started to run away. Liang Fire Dragon didn't care about these things and continued to move forward. He could feel the crazy beating heart deep in the sea. That was the ancient dragon's spare tire. The ancient dragon's embryo seemed to sense the danger approaching. The heart began to beat wildly. He began to hatch. Across the screen, everyone could feel the strong heartbeat like a drum. The Dragon King has started to hatch. Anj said. He remembered the Greenland project 10 years ago. It was a very painful lesson. Almost all the excellent mixed blood students died. Even Professor Sknida was half dead and could only survive on a ventilator. In the end, only 1.5 people survived. This is not a good phenomenon. Yuan Zishan wanted to go back immediately, but it was very rude for the audience to leave before the performance was over. This was very disrespectful to the performer. The depth was 8 kilometers. There were still 500 meters to go. And here, Liao Tang and the Liang Flame Dragon had already felt the connection from the blood. It's terrible. Liao Tang felt the beating heart, but did not feel the wisdom. This ancient dragon embryo is a dead thing. This is a punishment among the dragons. The dragons have a strong body, and even if the brain is erased, the body will still grow. This dragon whose brain has been erased is a sacrifice. A sacrifice to the White King. The genes of the pure-blooded dragons can make up for each other. The White King's holy remains need to be compensated by the dragon blood genes to truly awaken. Under the dazzling light, this sea area revealed its true appearance. It was a water area full of vitality. Thousands of fish formed schools and swam freely here, as beautiful as the glow of the sunset. Impossible. Seeing this ecosystem in the abyss of the sea, Angus said this. Chapter 145, Takamagahara. Ecosystems can only appear in places with abundant resources. Big fish eat small fish eat shrimp, shrimp eat algae. Only when the food chains of organisms are connected together can it be a qualified ecosystem. Obviously, this situation cannot occur in the environment of the abyss 8 kilometers deep in the sea. The terrifying atmospheric pressure is like dozens of fat people standing on you. And the boiling point of water will reach 500 degrees under this atmospheric pressure. The fiery sun dragon continued to move forward, passing this beautiful ecosystem. The red light illuminated this area like the sunset. It was a canyon in the abyss, and the hot magma in the canyon rolled back and forth. The red light like the sunset was emitted by the magma. The bottom of the Japanese island is full of this extremely hot magma. This makes the entire island country like a house with an unstable foundation. A magnitude 10 earthquake may cause this country to sink into the deep sea. This is the hatchery. There are thousands of fireflies wandering in the red sunset. However, these are not fireflies. As the fiery sun dragon gradually approached Takamagahara, everyone finally saw the fireflies clearly. That was the ghost-toothed dragon Viper, an extinct creature. This creature was like a snake, but had fish fins. Their sharp teeth, like daggers, could tear apart bronze and iron, and they would secrete a liquid that could corrode steel. These tens of thousands of ghost-toothed dragon Vipers were like army ants in the desert, leaving no grass where they passed. This was a creature contaminated by dragon blood. The dragon blood gene was mixed into their bodies and caused mutations. They seemed to have discovered the fiery sun dragon. But when they approached the fiery sun dragon, the scorching sun would instantly turn them into ashes. The domain of the Dragon King was very terrifying. And the domain of the complete Dragon King was even more terrifying. This was the power of the king. The fiery sun dragon ignored the small ants around him. His goal was the burial place of the gods. The deep sea of 8,600 meters. The deepest part of the abyss. It was a magnificent building. Countless houses were connected in a row, and one copper wire after another was tied with bells, and connected to each roof, and finally gathered in one direction. That was the center of the building. There stood an extremely tall iron tower at that location. The huge iron tower had no gaps, as if it was made like this. It seemed to have stood here for millions of years, and it was worshipped alone like a god. The fiery sun dragon stood on the tower. This is the city of the Dragon Clan, the remains of the dragon. It is Takamagahara, the world where the gods live in Japanese mythology. Such a magnificent and complete city can feel the ancient vicissitudes of life even through the screen. The audience watching all this fell into a state of shock. The fiery sun dragon looked around, and then flew towards the place where the heartbeat came from. As the fiery sun dragon moved, the picture on the screen also moved. At this time, Anger's mobile phone rang, and it contained the information sorted out by Norma. About 20 years ago, the world's first powerful icebreaker Lenin sank to the bottom of the sea above the abyss. The ship was suspected to have taken away the ancient dragon embryo in the Siberian port. Angus took a deep breath. However, he could not do anything now, and could only watch quietly as a spectator. The icebreaker's icebreaker head must be very heavy and solid. When the Lenin sank to the bottom of the sea, the very heavy head would sink first, and then the rest of the body would pierce straight into the bottom of the abyss like a knife. This knife brought the sacrificial items. It awakened the White King. When the fiery sun dragon came to the Lenin, the upper body of this huge icebreaker had already been deeply inserted into the seabed. The exposed body was only 100 meters. Countless flesh and tentacles wrapped around the entire icebreaker. The dragon body without a brain was just a flesh and blood that only knew how to grow. Countless shellfish devoured this flesh and blood, and the genes of dragon blood transformed their bodies. These shellfish at the bottom of the food chain will be eaten by other creatures. Other creatures will be eaten by giant whales. The giant whale will be eaten by the ghost-toothed dragon queen. It is because of this growing dragon flesh and blood that an ecosystem has been formed here. It's here. Old tank stood on the top of the Lenin. The steel deck had long been assimilated by flesh and blood. At this moment, the ancient language began to appear. The mysterious language seemed to be telling the mysterious past. This is the Dragon Clan's language. Through the mysterious dragon language, the power beyond nature is released. And the fiery sun dragon released the world-destroying language at the top of the fire systems, yelling. It's a pity for this magnificent building. The wind chimes kept swinging in the water, playing sad music, as if they already knew their own fate. The temperature around continued to rise. The extremely hot temperature filled everything in the Dragon King's domain. All creatures wanted to escape, but it was too late. The sun was about to explode. When the mysterious ancient language reached its peak, the sun exploded, like a supernova explosion. Countless light and heat quickly spread to the surroundings. The terrifying airwave swept everything. Those corpse guards sleeping in the god's burial place died before they could wake up. The entire ecosystem evaporated in an instant. The terrifying Zilong destroyed everything. The extreme high temperature, no creature could survive. Except for the White King, a creature that will not die. The terrifying creature roared out from the ground. 8 snake-headed heads roared crazily. Yamato no Orochi. It was also the holy body of the White King. You are still too weak. The fiery sun dragon waved its wings burning with flames. The violent flames burned everything around. The flames that would not go out, even at the bottom of the sea, were still burning everything. The Yamato no Orochi's body was burning with fire. The giant beast rolled in the water in pain, causing a terrifying vibration. Fortunately, this was more than 8,000 meters deep in the sea. All the restlessness was blocked by the sea water. Even a nuclear bomb explosion could be blocked. It was just that the candle dragon released by the complete king was too powerful. Even countless tons of seawater and terrifying atmospheric pressure could not block this terrifying world-destroying word spirit. The candle dragon caused a magnitude 3 earthquake throughout Japan. Fortunately, earthquakes in this country are as frequent as drinking water and eating. No one took it too seriously. However, the audience watching all this did not think so. They know how terrifying the deep sea at more than 8,000 meters is. What kind of powerful words can explode in such a place and cause a magnitude 3 earthquake? If such words are released on land, it is not difficult to imagine that the result is very terrible. Yamato no Orochi wanted to escape. He knew that he could not beat the complete king in front of him. He swam upward desperately. He wanted to leave. However, the fiery sun dragon did not stop him, but just watched the embarrassed fleeing figure quietly. I have written too much about the dragon clan. It will end after the third part of the plot. New members will join the group after this copy is written. If you don't like it in daily life, then I will write 2 or 3 chapters less to make a transition. If there is any world you want to see, I can also write about it. Chapter 146, Shivakama Dance. Fenry was eating snacks, and suddenly he seemed to feel something. It seems to be my turn. Fenry put down the snacks in his hand, and his eyes looked into the distance. Then he moved, and the people around him became nervous. Fenry took out the Earth Tiger Armor Summoner, and put it on his right hand. Earth Tiger Armor Combine. Fenry crossed his hands on his forehead and instantly transformed into an Earth Tiger Warrior. Then he jumped lightly, and jumped directly 100 meters, and then turned into a 50-meter dragon in the air. The dragon danced in the air. The graceful dance seemed to be playing an inexplicable ritual. The world-destroying words of the king of the earth and the mountain. Shiva's Karma Dance. It is estimated that Yamato no Orochi would never have dreamed that he would just hold the candle dragon head on when he was about to escape. The world-destroying words of the king of the earth and the mountain, Shiva's Karma Dance, came to him. The world-destroying words of the dragon kings are all representatives of the ultimate element. The death field released by the king of the earth and the mountain is very terrifying. The earth shook, and the earth dragon turned over. Creation and destruction. The power of the earth is heavy. Once the Shiva Karma Dance is released, it cannot be stopped. Even the releaser himself cannot stop. Everyone was stunned by the dancing dragon king in the sky and the active element around. They really had never seen such a scene. As time passed, there were more and more element around. When the Yamato no Orochi poked out of the sea, the violent shock overturned all the sea water in the sea area where it was, up to the sky, and into the earth. Compression and shock. All matter seemed to have returned to its original posture, constantly shaken, compressed, and stretched by the terrifying power of the earth. There is no life in the death realm, but the tenacious Yamato no Orochi survived. But it was seriously injured. 6 of the 8 heads were crushed. The tall body also became tattered. The surviving Yamato no Orochi seemed to have been scared to death, and he turned around and ran away. Then he was kicked back by the fiery sun dragon that jumped out of the water. Fenry fell from the sky and turned back into the earth tiger armor. Then the 2 armor warriors looked at each other. They stood on the sea and put their hands together. Zen seal. The time around them stopped. Only Mingfei, who was also an armor warrior, could move. So he flew on his sword. He rushed towards the Yamato no Orochi. When time flowed again, Mingfei jumped from a high altitude. Then he took out the 5-element Kyankan belt and quickly transformed. A golden light flashed. Emperor's eye appeared. "Brother, let me help you." Luming's voice came to Mingfei's ears. The alchemical field of the 7 deadly sins was released instantly. The blood of any king must end with a sword. The alchemical field enveloped everything. It cleared the death field left by Fenry before. The 7 deadly sins made a crisp dragon cry. These 7 weapons-born force-laying dragons were extremely excited at this time. He was responding to the expectations of his master. Then Lust and Teoti were unsheathed. Mingfei held it. The long sword and ancient knife radiated golden and red light. Butu Yuhan, Shan Yuhansen. The 2 blades spun wildly, tearing half of Yamato no Orochi's body like a violent storm. Flesh and blood collided. Yamato no Orochi flew backwards and slammed into the deep sea. When the king returns, all traitors must die. The 2 sharp blades swung again, directly crushing the remaining 2 heads of Yamato no Orochi. Blood stained the entire sea. Yamato no Orochi without a head floated on the water. Lu Mingfei stepped on his body. At this moment, he was like a king punishing traitors. But Yamato no Orochi was not dead. His body was still wriggling. Lu Mingfei raised the weapon in his hand. Then he cut it with a knife. He directly cut Yamato no Orochi's body in half. In this broken body, a bone-like thing was constantly wriggling. He seemed to know that he was discovered, and he wanted to get into the flesh again. Lu Mingfei was quick to grab the bone, and then forcibly pulled it out. This was the holy remains of the White King. The extremely arrogant White Emperor was like a parasite at this moment, parasitizing on other creatures. This way of living was really disgusting. The white bones kept squirming, trying to invade Lu Mingfei's body, but he could not penetrate the protection of the Emperor's armor and the terrifying alchemy field. Lu Mingfei just gently pinched it and crushed the holy remains into bone residue. But Lu Mingfei knew that the White King was not dead. Next, he just needed to put these bone residues into the body of Usugi Iriaya. The real White King would be resurrected. Usugi Iriaya was the container of the White King. Herzog created her to revive the White King in her body. Then he used the clapper to control her to exchange blood so as to usurp the throne of the White King. The flames burning in the hands of the fiery sun dragon. He gently waved the burning flames, and countless flames burned on the sea, destroying all traces left by the Yamato no Orochi. Fenri turned into a giant dragon and circled in the sky. Lu Mingfei exerted a little force on his legs and jumped directly onto Fenri's head. The body of the Yamato no Orochi was constantly burned by the flames and turned into ashes. The same was true for blood, and all traces turned into nothingness. After doing all this, the fiery sun dragon gently waved its flaming wings and came to the top of Fenrir's head and lifted the transformation. Everyone watched everything through the screen. They saw the two extremely powerful world-destroying words. They saw the terrifying all-chemical field. They saw how terrifying the war between Dragon Kings was. This thing is completely a nuclear bomb. Soon the dragon passed over them. In the dark night, 3 figures fell from the sky and landed in front of them. These 3 people were Lu Mingfei, Liu Tang and Constantine. Lu Mingfei was holding a section of the spine in his hand. The bone fragments were alive again. This thing is the holy remains of the White King. Lu Mingfei waved the spine that was constantly squirming in his hand. Everyone felt sick. Once they were parasitized by this thing, they would become the new Yamato no Orochi. They didn't want to become the monster just now. Only Yuan Zin's eyes were full of fire. Except for the container, no one can evolve into a pure-blooded dragon through the holy remains of the White King. Any creature will only be parasitized by him. This is a trap left by the White King. Human beings can only sacrifice their flesh and blood to him. Jiangnan stood up. This sentence was right for someone present. He took the holy remains of the White King from Lu Mingfei's hand. The holy remains of the White King have sharp mouthparts that can easily bite open the body of any creature and then drill into its neural control system. But the moment the holy remains of the White King was held by Jiangnan, he stopped squirming. He drooped his body as if he was dead. No, not dead, but pretending to be dead. Weak creatures pretend to be dead when they realize that they can't resist in front of higher creatures because they want to escape real death in this way. Chapter 147. Second scene. Jiangnan looked at the limp holy remains of the White King. It's really ugly. Even if you pretend to be dead, you have to live. Yuan Zin looked at the limp holy remains, not knowing what she was thinking. I know you have a lot of doubts in your hearts, but it is most perfect to watch the show with suspense. If you spoil the plot in advance, then this show will lack the unknown mystery. Jiangnan said with a smile. The first performance ended here, and the second performance began. Angus asked, is it not over yet? Of course, this is just the beginning. Remember the clown I mentioned before? That's an advance notice. The clown will appear in the second scene. I believe this scene will solve most of your doubts. Jiangnan's smile was full of evil taste. Finally, I can raise the old wall lamp of Herzog. How can I not be happy? Everyone looked at each other. Then they chose to continue watching. Killing the Yamato no Orochi and obtaining the holy remains of the White King is just the beginning. How grand will this show be? Jiangnan snapped his fingers lightly. By the way, we have a new audience to join us. This audience also plays an important role in the performance. If you like, you can also come down and perform together. After all, it is the happiest to have fun with the people. The rising sun is so beautiful. Usuji Arai carefully bypassed the guards and left the Snake 8 houses. As if it was fate, no one noticed the girl's departure. When she left home, at the intersection where they met, the girl saw Lu Mingfei, who had been waiting there for a long time. Lu Mingfei turned around and looked at the girl in front of him. "Do you want to play together?" He stretched out his hand. Usuji Arai didn't know what was going on, but when she heard that they were going to play, she immediately laughed. She wrote a word on the writing board. Okay. However, in Yuan Zishan's eyes, this scene was like the yellow-haired man kidnapping his sister. He wanted to pick up a knife and chop Lu Mingfei, but it seemed that he couldn't beat him. "Do you like watching performances?" Lu Mingfei said. "Lu, if you like to watch, I like to watch." Usuji Arai raised the writing board. Okay. Tachibana Masamune received a message just after getting up. The sender of the message was unknown. The message was, "The holy remains of the White King appeared in the hands of a boy named Lu. That boy was the boy who had been a guest at Genji Heavy Industries before." Then a photo appeared in front of Tachibana Masamune. It was a photo of Lu Mingfei and Usuji Arai walking side by side. The moment he saw the photo, Tachibana Masamune's pupils shrank instantly. The hazy sleepiness disappeared instantly. He immediately shouted loudly, "Come on, go see the head of the Usuji family." The result was that Usuji Arai ran away from home as expected. At this moment, Tachibana Masamune felt angry, extremely twisted anger. Who is it? What went wrong with the plan? Why did the holy remains of the White King appear at this time? And he even took the key away. Damn it. At this moment, Tachibana Masamune no longer had the steady momentum of his patriarch, and all he had was a failed clown performance. Overnight, the holy remains and the container were gone. His plan for more than 20 years became a joke. Everything he did became someone else's wedding dress. Distorted, unwilling, and angry. Looking at several elites of the Snake 8 families, Tachibana Masamune spoke. Go find the head of the Usuji family, and let Kaguya offer a reward of 1 billion yen to bring back the head of the Usuji family. Several elites of the Snake 8 families were a little confused. Isn't this just an ordinary runaway? Why are you still standing there? Go. Tachibana Masamune was rarely out of control. Originally everything was under control. But why did everything suddenly disappear? Anxious Tachibana Masamune chose to ask for help from the fierce ghosts. He skillfully dialed Wang Jiang's phone. They were originally the same person. They were all Herzog. They had been communicating with each other and told each other information. They were shadow warriors. Genshishin once suspected that there was a traitor in the upper echelons of the Snake 8 families. But he couldn't find it because he couldn't imagine that the highest leader of the Snake 8 families, the head of the family, was actually a traitor. When the secret was revealed, looking at all this, Genshishin fell into confusion. Everything that had been right before was right. Why did the demon clan grow so fast? Why did those demons always escape under his nose? It was all because Tachibana Masamune was the traitor. Every time the demon clan took action, they would get the news in advance. Everything made sense. Usuji looked at all this and smiled. Haha, the current Snake 8 families are really interesting. Even the head of the family is a traitor. Yuan Zishan had a gloomy face. Usuji said cynically. The Snake 8 family should have been destroyed long ago. They are a bunch of garbage. Usuji will never forget what this family has done to him. He will never forget what his mother has suffered. Yuan Zishan wanted to refute, but the picture on the screen made his words so pale and powerless. He didn't understand why Tachibana Masamune, who had obviously reached the peak of power, would betray the Snake 8 families. The Snake 8 families are all black and white. Whatever they want, they have nothing. Money, power, and beautiful women can be obtained by just waving their fingers. It's like the ancient generals fighting in battle to defend a country. But the emperor in the rear directly raised the flag and surrendered. There was a sarcastic smile on the corner of Minato Chishio's mouth. He seemed to like the way his brother was defeated. Now, brother, you know why we can continue to grow. Even with the existence of you, Amaterasu, our ghosts are still endless. Although Minato Chishio said this, he was also extremely horrified in his heart. He thought that Wang Jiang would be very powerful. but he didn't expect it to be so powerful that he actually directly instigated the head of the Snake 8 families, Tachibana Masamune, to rebel. No wonder their fierce ghosts are getting stronger and stronger now. The bosses inside the enemy are all our people, how can they not be strong? In this way, Minamoto Chishio looks like a clown. He has been played around by Tachibana Masamune. Minamoto Chishio clenched his fists, and he wanted to put a knife on the neck of his most respected father, Tachibana Masamune, and ask why he did this. Tachibana Masamune taught him how to be a man, taught him how to be an upright person, and taught him how to protect his relatives. But such a respected father turned out to be a traitor. However, the shock brought by the betrayal of the head of the Snake 8 families has not ended yet, and another more shocking scene appeared. The masked general answered Tachibana Masamune's phone call. They had a familiar conversation. When he learned that the container and the holy remains were stolen, the usually extremely cruel general lost his composure. He took off the white mask he often wore and smashed it to pieces. His face was full of anger and ferocity. It was unimaginable that he showed a face that was exactly the same as Tachibana Masamune's. Even the angry expression was exactly the same. Chapter 148, Clown. Two people who look exactly the same are simply terrifying. Even the anger engraved in their bones is exactly the same, as if they are the same person. Even twins will have different looks and personalities due to different environments. Even if they are very similar, there are still differences. But Wang Jiang and Tachibana Masamune look too much alike. They are simply the same person. The conspiracy is spreading, and the people present are not fools. They can all see that this country is shrouded in a terrifying conspiracy. Ange smiled. It seems that something interesting has happened in Japan. Ange is not a good person. He doesn't like things that are out of control. The story in the picture continues. When Wang Jiang heard that Tachibana Masamune lost Usuji Iriya, he roared, "You idiot, what on earth are you doing? You actually lost the container. Do you know, that girl is my most proud experiment, more precious than Minamoto Chisei and Minamoto Chijo? Without her, how can we open the Yellow Spring Road and revive the White King?" "Shut up, bastard. Where is the holy relic?" "The holy relic was taken away by others. I don't know what you do for a living. You are a waste." The two people in the highest position of power were madly insulting each other like gangsters. This scene was so funny on them. They were like clowns trying their best to perform. In the end, Tachibana Masamune gave in. After all, the reason he contacted the King General was to use the power of the demons to search for Usugieri. It was a complete waste of time to curse each other here. Okay, stop cursing. Don't forget that we are alone. If you don't want our plan of more than 20 years to be a wedding dress for others, mobilize your power to find the container. The container must not be lost, and maybe this is an opportunity for us to usurp the power of the White King. When this sentence appeared, everyone watching was shocked, because this sentence revealed too much information. The same person, a 20-year plan, to usurp the power of the White King, and the experimental subjects mentioned earlier. Genshishing, Genshinu, and Usugieri are all his experimental subjects. So the two brothers may have been deliberately arranged to become enemies. Genshishing's face turned very ugly when he thought of this. The same is true for Genshinu. He actually loves his brother very much and listens to his brother very much. But he can't control himself. He can't control the crazy personality in his heart. When the truth comes out now, Genshinu realized that all his faults may have been deliberately arranged. They are just experimental subjects. Their lives have been arranged long ago. Thinking of this, anger and hatred appeared in Genshinu's eyes. The golden vertical pupils exuded flames. Okay, then do the audience want to perform on stage? Now you should know part of the truth and want to participate. After all, performing on stage is a very interesting thing. Jiangnan felt that it must be very interesting to put the two brothers next to Herzog at this moment. Genshishin was slightly stunned and asked, "You mean we can go back?" "Of course, but you have to understand what I mean. If you go on stage to perform, you are actors. Actors cannot reveal information outside the script. You need to follow the general direction of your script." Yuan Xin's eyes flashed with anger. "Do you mean I can't kill Wang Jiang?" No, 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 in my script you can, but you'd better not do it, because you can't kill him. Yuan Zinv looked at Wang Jiang and Tachibana Masamune, who looked exactly the same. Is it because they are not the real person? That's right, of course there is another reason, that is here. Jiang Nan pointed to his head. You will help me, right? Yuan Zinv suddenly said so. Jiang Nan smiled. That's right. Okay, I'm willing to participate in your script. Yuan Zinv said coldly. Okay, but some information cannot be revealed. Jiang Nan waved his hand and Yuan Zinv disappeared. When he appeared again, he had already appeared in the territory of the fierce ghosts. His appearance was clearly reflected in the picture. When Yuan Zishan saw this scene, he immediately spoke up. I'm willing to participate as well. Okay. Jiang Nan waved his hand again, and Yuan Zishan disappeared. Yuan Zishan returned to Genji Heavy Industries, and Yasha and Crow returned with him. Everything that happened before seemed like a dream. I'm back. Yuan Zishan looked around in disbelief. Yasha and Crow looked at each other. Young master, what should we do next? The two naturally saw the true appearance of Tachibana Masamune. I'll go confront him face to face. Yuan Zishan wanted to stand up, but found that he couldn't move at all. Jiang Nan's voice appeared in his ears. Calm down. This scene is not you looking for him, but he is looking for you. It's coming. Watch your words. Yuan Zishan heard the familiar voice, and knew that those people were looking at him, including that crazy dragon slayer Ange. Yuan Zishan took 2 deep breaths to calm himself. Then his door was knocked. Yuan Zishan patted his face, and made his expression return to his usual indifferent look. He opened the door and it was Tachibana Masamune. Tachibana Masamune returned to his usual majestic appearance. Chishin, where did you go just now? Minamoto Chishin really wanted to put a knife to Tachibana Masamune's neck, and ask him who he was. But the voice echoing in his ears told him to continue acting. Sorry, Dad, I was in a meeting with Crow and the others just now. Minamoto Chishin's face was not good, and his tone was even a little alienated. But the anxious Tachibana Masamune did not notice. He now wants to use Minamoto Chishin to take back Usuji Irihaya. Minamoto Chishin is a hybrid that can transcend boundaries. Once he gets serious, his strength will become very powerful when he activates the Dragon Bone state. Irihaya has been kidnapped. Tachibana Masamune started to deceive people. Minamoto Chishin had seen everything on the big screen before, so he naturally knew who took Usuji Irihaya away. But he still pretended to be confused and spoke. What's going on? Dad? Tachibana Masamune asked Kaguya to play the photo. Normally, even if Eri runs away from home, Kaguya can find her. But this time, she disappeared. I retrieved all the videos within a radius of dozens of kilometers through Kaguya, but I couldn't find Eri. This time, she didn't run away from home, but was kidnapped. If Eri goes berserk during this process, the result will be unpredictable. Minamoto Chishin, you are her brother. Please bring her back. Tachibana Masamune said sincerely, like a real old father. But Minamoto Chishin, who knew everything, thought Tachibana Masamune looked like a clown. The clown was quietly performing deep affection here. Chapter 149. Draw your sword and do it. Jiang Nan arranged a script for Yuan Zishan to lead the executive department to find Lu Mingfei. Although Yuan Zishan was unwilling, he had no choice but to do so. After giving some instructions, Tachibana Masamune asked Yuan Zishan to act quickly and rescue Usuji Eri. After Tachibana Masamune left, Yuan Zishan immediately showed an angry expression. This TM is making a fool of him. Young master, are we going to hunt down Mr. Lu? Hey. It's useless. Tachibana Masamune doesn't know. Don't you know it yet? Crow and Yaksha naturally knew what Yuan Zishan meant. This is just a farce. Then a blue screen suddenly appeared in front of the 3 people. The blue screen was so familiar, just like what they saw in the Blackstone residence before. Such a scene can only be seen by the audience like them. Brother. The screen played the scene of Yuan Zinu meeting the king. It was a villa. The king wearing a mask came here. Yuan Zinu knelt in the hall in a gorgeous robe, and he wiped his knife. Sakura Kojua stood beside him quietly like a maid. Then the door opened. The masked Wang Jiang walked in. Long time no see, this time there is a new mission. Wang Jiang's voice was so flat, but the words were orders. Orders that could not be questioned. If it was before, Genshin would be scared, but Genshin, who knew everything, would only think that Wang Jiang was just a ridiculous clown. He didn't even want to say a word to this clown. This knife is very sharp, very suitable for chopping off the clown's head. Genshin said to herself. His anger could not be concealed at all. He didn't intend to hide it. He was the emperor with the same bloodline as Genshin. The knife was very fast. So fast that only a cold light could be seen. When Wang Jiang came to his senses, his head had fallen to the ground. Bang bang bang. The wooden floor made a sound of heavy objects rolling continuously. At this moment, Genshin was very happy. If this damn bastard just disappeared, he would be happier, but he knew that he had killed only a fake Wang Jiang. Sure enough, a voice came from outside the door. Bang 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 bang. It was the sound of a clapper. It was this sound that had been controlling Genji. When Genji heard this sound, he began to have a splitting headache and his whole body was weak. The monster that had just killed decisively seemed to disappear at this moment. If Genji was a crazy beast, then this clapper sound was the chain that locked him. Sakurai Kojiro wanted to take action, but a terrifying Deadpool suddenly broke the window and rushed into the room. The target of this Deadpool was Sakurai Kojiro. The 5-meter body of Deadpool was extremely huge, and his lower body had become a snake's tail. This was an A-level Deadpool, and also Herzog's experimental subject, a captive beast. Sakurai Kojiro was entangled by this Deadpool, and could not support it at all. She might even die. Go and snatch this girl. Wang Jiang came over, took out a photo from his arms, and threw it on the ground. Behind him followed two big men in black suits. The big men lifted up the dead Wang Jiang and walked out of the door. At this moment, Genji was like a dog, and Wang Jiang was the dog's superior master. Yes, Genji said this word with gritted teeth. Even though this was a predetermined script, he felt humiliated and unwilling. Wang Jiang left because in his eyes, Genji was just an obedient dog. If she was disobedient occasionally, she could be beaten. After Wang Jiang left, the A-level Deadpool ran away. The elegant villa with luxurious decoration was now in ruins. The destructive power of a monster like Deadpool was too terrifying. Why is this happening? Genji was very unwilling, and he kept beating the ground. The reason was of course, because that guy tied you with chains. For powerful monsters, that guy will tie them with chains. Not just you, but also Usagi. Everyone watching this scene could hear Jiang Nan's words. Genji, who left Genji Heavy Industries, clenched his fists. Because Jiang Nan mentioned his sister Usagi, he saw Genji's embarrassed look just now. It was hard to imagine what had happened to his brother. What kind of chains could make Yuan Zinv look so helpless? I think everyone is wondering what the king had done to Yuan Zinv. Let me, the director, reveal the secret. Please watch a video next. Jiang Nan's voice fell, and the scene in front of everyone began to change. It was the Black Swan Lake more than 20 years ago. A group of children were playing freely here. However, they didn't know what they were facing. They were just experimental subjects of the Black Swan Lake. Just genetic experiments to study dragons and hybrids. In order to control these children with extraordinary powers, Dr. Herzog, who controlled all this, performed an operation on everyone. The operation on the middle part of the ponds. Except for one girl. This operation was originally used to treat epilepsy. Once the pons is interrupted, a person's brain will have a dual personality. Each personality occupies half of the brain. Generally speaking, one is a noble and righteous personality, and the other is a terrifying and violent personality. Just like a devil and an angel. The signal for switching personalities is a special clapper sound. This kind of clapper sound is a technique Herzog learned from the Indian tribe. It is a special hypnotic technique. It can turn a madman into a kind ordinary person or a terrifying devil. In the picture, Herzog clearly explained how he controlled these experimental subjects. Yuan Zinv also knew the chains tied to her body. Dual personality? Yuan Zishan discovered the blind spot, and the story of the Black Swan ended here. But this also indirectly illustrates a problem. That is, the story has already begun. The White King was planned more than 20 years ago. You are right, Yuan Zisheng. Your brother is not a ghost at all. He has the same royal blood as you. His reason will not be polluted by dragon blood. The reason why he also behaves so crazy, like a fallen ghost, is because he had this operation. This operation divided his personality into good and evil, divided into Yuan Xinvan Fengji and Liu Li. Jiang Nan kindly explained the truth to the two brothers. When he knew the truth, Yuan Xishan could no longer suppress the rage in his body. The respectable father in his mind had disappeared. Instead, there was a disgusting clown. That bastard who completely destroyed their brotherhood. They should have had a happy life. But all of this was destroyed by that bastard named Herzog. He made them turn against each other and kept them fighting. Chapter 150, Waking Up from a Dream. Yuan Xishan looked up at the sky. He found that his pride was so ridiculous. He found that his duties were so boring. What about protecting the world? What about the duties of Amaterasu? They were all arranged for him by others. They were things that bound him. His life turned out to be so ridiculous. Yuan Xishan wanted to laugh and cry. It was hard to imagine that such a man in his 20s would have such emotions. The fate manipulated by others was so ridiculous. What is this? Why do I need to know these things? Yuan Xishan covered his chest. His heart ached. He could have lived happily with his brother. Then he took his brother to the French beach to sell sunscreen. Live a happy and simple life, and then find a girlfriend to marry who doesn't need to be beautiful, just be able to talk. But such a life was not given to him, and simple happiness was destroyed one by one. He killed his brother with his own hands, and buried him in a deep well. He no longer wanted to experience that heart-wrenching feeling. Young master, Crow said with some concern. I'm going to find the girl. I want to apologize to him. All this is my brother's fault. It's my brother who didn't realize that he had been tampered with. It's my brother who didn't protect him well. He must be very disappointed with his brother. Yuan Xishan stumbled and rushed away. Yasha and Crow had never seen their young master lose his composure like this. At this moment, their young master was no longer the high and mighty Amaterasu. Instead, he was a brother who confessed to his younger brother. Unfortunately, the plot has not reached the time for reconciliation. It seems that you have to restore your identity as a spectator. Jiang Nan's words appeared beside Yuan Xishan's ears. Don't stop me, don't stop me. The brother who knew everything was already crazy. He wanted to resist the ridiculous fate. Everything he was proud of was just a joke. The truth is always cruel when everything is revealed. This lonely George is really in pain. Yasha and Crow followed behind. They didn't know what they should do, but it was right to follow the young master. They were like this before, and they are still like this now. You should leave. You are no longer suitable for this play. Mingfei appeared in front of Yuan Xishan without knowing when. Seeing her brother in such pain, Usugieri couldn't help showing an uncomfortable expression. Brother, I'm fine. The girl raised the writing board. Yuan Xishan looked at his obedient and lovely sister. If it was Mingfei, he would definitely be able to protect her, unlike himself who was just a waste being played around by others. Mr. Lu, am I ridiculous in your eyes? Did you know everything from the beginning? You watched me perform quietly and saw how illusory my responsibilities and status that I should be proud of were. Mingfei didn't say anything. He did know it a long time ago, but he admired Yuan Xishan. At least he was worthy of his life and his responsibilities. This giant tortoise on Pinter Island didn't know anything until he died. He died in the responsibilities that he was proud of. In the end, he didn't reconcile with his brother. Please get out of the way. After knowing that his life was so ridiculous, Yuan Xishan no longer had the pride of being the head of the Yuan family. He was just a test subject. In Herzog's eyes, he was just a test subject. No matter how strong he was just a lab mouse. Do mice have their own pride? Maybe. But when he wakes up from the dream, he has to face the reality. Sorry, Mingfei seemed to have received some instructions. The 7 deadly sins were released by him. The sky was covered with dark clouds at some point. Usugieri raised the writing board. Her eyes were full of sadness. She didn't like to see her strong and proud brother like this. Brother, don't be sad. Eri will help you. Eri, I'm sorry. Please don't stop me. Yuan Xishan had to pay for his mistakes. He was a serious person. When he knew that he had hurt his most important relative, he wanted to make amends. He wanted to see Yuan Xinv again. Even if Yuan Xinv would kill him, he would be willing. Just as a redemption for killing Yuan Xinv at that time. The drizzle was falling, and the sad brother wanted to move forward. The golden pupils burned with the flame of sadness. All the beliefs turned into illusions at this moment. You should know that I'm blocking you here, and you can't get through. The atmosphere on rainy days is always a bit dull. The pedestrians on the road began to avoid the rain because they had no umbrellas. However, Mingfei and Yuan Zishan did not avoid it. They stared at each other's eyes. It was like a wolf about to fight. Yuan Zishan put his hands on the spider cut, and the boy cut. He didn't want to wait any longer. He couldn't wait even a minute. This is not a good choice, just leave now. Yuan Zishan drew out the boy cut, and the spider cut. Usugierai's eyes were full of worry. Trust me, leave it to me. Everything will be fine. Mingfei gave Usugierai a reassuring look. The boy told the girl that he would take care of everything. The 7 deadly sins opened, and 7 weapons were ejected but not unsheathed. The 7 deadly sins are pride, envy, wrath, laziness, greed, gluttony and lust. Pride is the hard baffling. Envy is the katana. Rage is the saber. Laziness is the straight broadsword. Greed is the tang sword. Gluttony is the Atkan longsword. Lust is the wakizashi. The combination is a medieval Latin word. It means sin and punishment. Mingfei drew out greed. This is a straight tang sword, and the sharp blade was washed madly in the rain. But the rain did not cover the sharpness of the blade. Word spirit, kingship. Almost in an instant, Yuan Zishan opened the dragon bone state and released his powerful word spirit. He knew the power of the blocker, so he used his strongest power right away. Word spirit kingship is a word spirit that cannot be explained by physics. The releaser can greatly strengthen the gravity field and make the enemy bear several times or even dozens of times his own weight in his own field. The first thing that happens to people under the control of royal power is that the blood in the body is concentrated in the lower part of the body. The brain is deprived of blood and the blood pressure in the legs increases. In order to avoid coma due to deprivation of blood, people will kneel down instinctively, feeling that they are submitting to the kingly power of the releaser. This word spirit got its name from this, meaning that everyone will kneel down because of the authority of the releaser. As the gravity field is further strengthened, the releaser can even press the other party into the softer ground, while also crushing the other party's blood vessels and crushing the bones of the whole body. The releaser himself is not affected by this enhanced gravity field, and he can also exempt others from its influence. Crow, Yasha, Usugieri. They are all within the scope of the domain, but they don't feel anything. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.